As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Booner. It is Monday, June 2nd. We are live with some we got breaking news.
Yeah.
Which I had to make a video about today. One of the most depressing days in the last couple of years. There's losses, and then there's this right here that happened today. So we'll dive into that all show. We got Kory Woods joining from M Live, covers the Lions. But Frank Ragnow is no longer a part of the organization. He is officially retired. Out of all the things,
Can we have a moment of silence for the man?
Of course.
Okay.
Love you, Frank. Out of all the things that could have came about on a Monday afternoon, maybe all the news, potential news, Frank Ragnow retiring was not one of those things that anyone predicted. Now, I'll add to that. People had feelings, or at least thoughts of him retiring eventually, and maybe in the next year or two. But we covered it Friday when Boone was having some internet issues due to some random explosion in his area. Me and Klotz talked, and he talked about Frank not being at practice. Dave Burkett and John McAroon, the doc, both put it out that it must be contract related. We'll get to all that stuff later in the show. But, man, I just want to say congratulations to Frank Ragnow, man. Even though he had a 7-year career.
Yep.
He got in the league at 21, 22, retired at 29 years old, which not the first line to retire early. Obviously, Calvin Johnson retired early as well. But in that short period of time, multiple Pro Bowls. I think he made 4 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro teams. One of the best at his position for the last handful of years. And one of the most important players on the entire roster, I would say. And a guy who's been through 2 different regimes. The regime that drafted him, Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia. And he got to win a playoff game. He got to go to an NFC championship game. He got to experience something actually historic, which it sounds kind of crazy to say, but the first playoff win in multiple decades. He got to experience that. And he got to experience a run all the way to the NFC championship game, which came to almost them advancing to the Super Bowl. So congratulations to Frank Ragnow, man. As much as it is sad and it sucks, I'm happy. I'm happy for him because he's been dealing with so many injuries. And he's had the inoperable toe, the turf toe, that at this point, doctors were like, hey, dude, I mean, you just got to play on it. And he played last season. He was banged up, but he still played. He played with a fractured throat before.
That's insane.
He's a true Iron Man, dude. Great career for him. Made a lot of money. Now he gets to fish, enjoy retirement, hang out with his family. So much love to Frank Ragnow, man. Tough loss.
It's tough. I'll tell you what. It felt like today, and there are probably a handful of guys I would say on the Lions and in the NFL to when they like step away from the game, you're genuinely like, man, like it feels like there was a death. Which is like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying like, hey, someone died because that's a big deal, but it's like just a feeling you get like all day, just everything felt weird after that. And it just feels like that wasn't expected. I know last year I had brought up at the beginning of the offseason last year, hey, this is Frank's going to retire at some point. They need to be prepared for it. And brought up, hey, if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, he's coming back to try again. I always thought, and I don't know if you boys remember, I said last year, if they won the Super Bowl this last season, he was done. Like I was set on that. I was like, all he wanted to do was come back and win a Super Bowl. And if he doesn't, he's done. Like that toe injury did a toll on him. All the injuries he's had, like it was the longest 7-year career of all time with injuries and everything. But some reason, and I don't know what it was, I didn't see one report, one content creator. I didn't see one person, not one fan, no one this offseason mention of Frank Ragnow retirement. Like it didn't cross anyone's mind. And like in that aspect, you're sitting there and you're like, the contract situation, it makes sense that hey, maybe he wanted a new deal, and maybe that had something to do with him stepping away. Like, hey, he didn't get the deal, or it wasn't on the table what he wanted to. I don't know, but that was the thing. No, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe he did have contract conversations with Brad over the last week, and that was part of it. Like, if he was retiring, it would have happened, you know, months ago. Like, he could have been like, hey, I know I'm done. Obviously, you have to think about it, but like maybe there were contract conversations still in play, and he was like kind of taking everything into account. And that happened to be something that got brought up Friday from Dave Burkett, who was one of the best reporters in the state, and obviously had some conversations with someone that he trusted. That was something that came up. So I do believe that had something to do with it, to a sense. We met Dave, dude. He is dialed in. So I trust that source was real. But with that coming out, I don't think it crossed anyone's mind retirement. So when that's going out there, and then today, all of a sudden, I literally just started my lunch today. I called Jeff about a different graphic to do a different graphic for socials. And when I call him, Jeff's so happy. I get an alert on my phone, Frank Ragnow retires, and I break the news to the guy. And it's like my heart dropped. My heart's never dropped from football news. It was like, oh my gosh, this is happening right now. And that's going to, honestly, boys, congrats to Frank. Unbelievable career. The Hall of Fame, we'll see what happens with that, but he's one of the greatest Detroit Lions of all time. So, like, you can only tip your cap to him. I saw some people on Twitter kind of like not going at Frank, but, oh, you left, you know, at the peak. No, you can't say, like, yes, he was a top 3 at his position. That man, the injuries he went through and what he did for this team playing through them, you only can respect it, man. And he wasn't that, you know, getting paid $9 million this year, and none of it was guaranteed. Like, and for what he did, like, I respect the hell out of Frank Ragnow, man. He deserves everything going forward. And every single Lions fan, anyone that covers the team, everyone should give Frank Ragnow the respect that's deserved. He'll be in the pride of the Lions. Hopefully one day he gets a gold jacket. I was looking at some center gold jackets. It might be tough, but I think he should be at some point of his career a Hall of Famer for the career that he has had, because it was just 7 years with the Lions is incredible. So respect to him. This is going to be the storyline of the summer, though, is this Detroit Lions offensive line. Everything, the edge room, all of that, number one storyline of the summer now, in the offseason turns to that offensive line, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see.
It absolutely does. And shout out to Frank for what he's done. Can't deny that he's left everything out on the field, but you're looking at a situation now where that center spot, and it's honestly the most important spot outside left tackle, is you're looking at Graham Glasgow, Tate Ratledge, Miles Frazier, possibly. You don't know what that is. And you look around the NFC and where everybody's trying to revamp their defensive line is at the interior. So the Lions, they already had a tough road, but it just got tougher. We're going to talk to Kory a little bit about what he's been seeing at OTAs, especially with Tate. But Frank's a big loss, especially when you're looking at a team that's in their Super Bowl window. Obviously, that window isn't shut. It's still open. But for 2025, like, not having Frank Ragnow when you expected to have Frank Ragnow, it's an issue. That's an issue. And there's nothing against Frank. Like, to Booner's point, you can't be mad at the dude for stepping away from the game at his peak, which was an all-pro type of player, but he didn't have physically much left to give. And you don't want to see Frank go out there and try to have a year where he doesn't have it anymore. You know what I mean? You would have paid to see
thing?
Yes, I'm going to pull it up. I'll pull up the thing. I'll read it. I want to say too that the difference is with, for example, like Calvin Johnson retired at a young age, I guess in the NFL terms. He still had a lot of good years, but he dealt with so many injuries. But the Lions weren't where the Lions are right now. I mean, that's why it hurts even more. You know, like Calvin retired, but you knew, like, all right, you know, this guy gave everything he had.
At
best. Like they're not really accomplishing that much. It hurts more. This is why fans probably, I think most fans have been good about it. Like they're really supportive. But if there are fans that are upset, it's because of where the Lions are right now. They're so close. And people are like, man, you know, you couldn't stay. It'd be like if Calvin retired and the Lions were Super Bowl contenders, it'd be like, oh, like, come on, dude.
I think that makes it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because you're in the Super Bowl window, so it makes it a little bit tougher.
Yes.
But reading his statement, I think, at least for me, it eases it a little bit where you're like, okay, like, he couldn't do it anymore. Like it wasn't like a thing to where it's like, hey, I could do one more season. He was like, I did everything I could to try and go another year. And he was essentially is like, I want to play, I physically can't play anymore. That's what it kind of sounded like to me, which is tough to hear. Like that's how much this guy put his body on the line for the city of Detroit and Detroit Lions fans. Is like he got to a point to where he physically is like, I don't think my body can take this any longer. Like that's crazy. And there probably could have been years or games where it's like, Frank, sit out so this injury doesn't get much worse, and let's keep your career longer. And he was like, no, I'm playing. And it kind of caught up to him.
Well, let's read it. I got the post right here. He posted it. It was via his Instagram, which
shout out Roman there.
Yeah, well, it's tough. It says here, Frank Ragnow, he posted this Instagram post today, earlier today. He says, these past couple of months have been very trying as I've come to the realization that my football journey is ending and I'm officially retiring from the NFL. I've tried to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm not, and it's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. I've given this team everything I have, and I've thought I had more to give, but the reality is I simply don't. I have to listen to my body, and this has been one of the hardest decisions in my life. The Lions organization has been absolutely incredible throughout this process, and I can't emphasize this enough, how grateful I am for this team and all the fans. It was an absolute honor going to battle for you all. There you go. It's tough. It's absolutely tough. And the thing about it is, like, the inoperable toe injury, you have to think, like, he keeps playing on that. Like, the guy, I mean, he could lose his toe. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he could, you know what I mean? And it's like, when it's all said and done, for someone he has a family, he's only 29 years old. It's like, I don't blame the guy.
An inoperable toe. Like, that's what they said. It's like they can't fix it. And he has to play through it. Yeah. I mean, that's why I respect you. I don't know. I feel like you can't anything but respect his decision. Like, the way he puts it out there, like, I've tried everything to be able to play, and my body is literally telling me, hey, Frank, you can't do this anymore. Like, you can't do another year. No. So you can't get mad at that. I saw some people on Twitter trying to, why would you just leave us high and dry like that? Well, like, don't be that guy, man. That's disrespectful in my opinion.
It's selfish. I know someone mentioned Andrew Luck retiring. It's Aaron Donald retiring. Like, guys retire and maybe they still have more left to give, but that's not your decision to make. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not your decision to make for them. So let's bring on someone that has a good insight on this situation. Covers with the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. Good friend of the show, Kory Woods. Kory, what's going on, my man? Look at you outside.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
I mean, this guy's out and about today. I mean, all right. Kory, joining the show regardless of where he is, we appreciate you. I want your thoughts, because I texted you earlier today, and I said, Kory, come on, let's talk some OTAs. We'll talk some Frank Ragnow contract and Anzalone contract.
Yeah.
And then an hour later, Frank Ragnow retires. I know you've been busy, but I want your thoughts on him retiring and kind of what it means for the Lions.
Well, I'll say that it's pretty shocking, and here's the reason why. I mean, as early as January, Frank was talking about he's felt as good as he's ever been. I don't know whether he was just kind of just hyping himself up, to try to, like, play through the pain, but he's a guy that didn't want to talk about his retirement. I mean, in fact, if it came up, he would kind of, like, brush it aside. So the fact that he did it right now, in the middle of OTAs is pretty shocking. It's definitely a huge blow to the Lions' offensive line. I mean, you can't replace a guy like Frank Ragnow. I mean, he's one of the best centers of his era. So, just stunned. That's really just my main reaction, just off of everything that you hear from him talking about the word or the thought of retirement, and then to see him actually retire.
I do think, Kory, obviously the conversation outside of, once he does leave, it quickly turns to, hey, this offensive line, a top 3 offensive line in the NFL, what is it going to look like in the future? How confident are you, Kory, that this offensive line stays at that level, especially with a year 2 guy in Christian Mahogany, potentially a rookie in Tate Ratledge, Miles Frazier? Are you confident that they can kind of keep this thing rolling at that level with Frank leaving?
Let's not kid ourselves. Absolutely not. I mean, will they be a good offensive line? Yes, they will. They'll be good. I mean, they still have some pieces. I mean, you have a proven Penei Sewell. You know what you're going to get out of Taylor Decker. Christian Mahogany, we've seen what he's done in some spots, and we see the potential right there. But, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Losing Frank Ragnow makes them a worse offensive line. We're not saying that makes them bad, but, I mean, you're losing, like I said, you're losing one of the best centers of the generation. So, Can they be good? Yeah, I mean, they have some continuity there that will kind of like maybe work in the short term. But I mean, it definitely weakens them. That's just as far as I'll go. We'll have to wait and see how they choose to go ahead about replacing him. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. This is let's just make it clear. This takes their offensive line, as good as those guys are, this takes them down a notch.
And from what you've seen, because I know we can't see who's going to replace him, but we've seen Tate Ratledge rep at that center spot during OTAs, and you've been there, Kory. What have you seen? Like, I know you can't tell because they're not going full speed, but does Tate look like he's able to pick up the role, look like he's doing the right things, or does it look like he's struggling a little bit?
Well, I think the Tate Ratledge thing is a little bit too early to go with. I mean, yeah, he's doing some cross training at center, and they've talked about him doing some cross training, but we're also talking about a guy that has never taken a snap at center during his entire time at Georgia. So to go from not taking a snap at center in the SEC to taking meaningful ones in the NFL, that's asking a lot. I think a more realistic thing would be to see Graham Glasgow, who has played at center at the highest level, probably roll him over to there initially, and then you probably start training Ratledge in the background. But I think that would be the more natural thing. And then you still have Kingsley. He's undrafted, but he's a natural center. That's his actual spot. So he might be able to slide into the back to the backup role initially. But I think right now the smart move will be just to hopefully Graham Glasgow is able to slide over and perform at a high level like he has before.
And Kory, the big thing, I guess, a side conversation of this whole thing is Frank retiring clears up some money. I guess when you look at the positive way, and you have Anzalone and the contract thing kind of coming out, and it was the Frank contract. It's like, well, maybe he wants a raise, but now that he's officially retired, what does this mean for Anzalone? Does it push it more in the direction of maybe getting a deal done, or what do you think they kind of do with that money? Is it Zadarius Smith potentially? What would you do in this situation, Kory?
I think it's too early to see. Let's see what the actual money frees up once he actually retires and see where they're at in that situation. I think the ideal thing right now would be to make Anzalone happy above anything. I mean, you would like to bring Zadarius Smith back, but you need to make Anzalone happy and get him in the training camp. Because I mean that is one of the more important players of that defense. That's one of their captains, and we saw what this team looked like last year when he went out with that broken forearm, and then how they looked when he came back and he still was not 100%. He still played well, and he's proven himself over the past couple of years that he's worthy of the big money. And to be quite honest, and I've said, and I'm not, this is not revisionist history, I said at the end of the season, I was actually shocked at the contract that did. Thought some of that money that Barnes got would have went towards giving Anzalone the payday that he deserved.
Yeah, actually, Kory, I completely agree with you on that. I do want to just turn a little bit. Obviously, the Frank Ragnow stuff is big news, but I did want to. You were at OTAs last week. Just want to ask about your kind of biggest takeaways so far of OTAs. Was there anything like specific outside maybe of the Tate Ratledge thing and all of that? Maybe edge rooms, receiving core that stood out to you that the people need to keep an eye on going into this week?
Not really, because I'm gonna be quite honest. It was a pajama fest, as Dan Campbell likes to call it. A lot of guys did not practice, so I mean, you didn't really get to see too much of anything. Where hopefully this week we'll be able to give something that is real tangible. But the biggest thing that I took away was that Aiden Hutchinson, he looked to be moving as fine as I've seen him before. He was, during his drills, just walking in general, he didn't appear to be favoring anything, and he limping and he dragging his feet. I mean, he looked like the Aiden Hutchinson that I've seen before in practices in years past, and we're still early in the game. So by training camp and when the season started, I expect him to be in full motion. So I would say that is really probably the biggest takeaway from training camp. Also, another one that really did stand out, and now I just kind of thought about it, the chemistry between Jared Goff and Tim Patrick is starting to pick up, and that is something that is something that people need to keep their eyes on, because remember, Tim Patrick did not have a training camp with the Lions last season. So I mean, instead of going out and going to get somebody on the free agency market, which is something that I thought they should have did, They brought back Patrick. Still thought you should have brought back Patrick, but I thought they should have went and got somebody else too. But hey, you got to give them credit. It's early, no pads, but it looked nice. It looked sharp. Let's see how that continues to mature over the next couple of weeks, because if Tim Patrick is able to now truly be that Josh Reynolds replacement that the Lions needed, now you might see this offense, it was top tier last season. You just might see them be a little bit more efficient in different ways if that chemistry is able to truly develop.
Big Tim Patrick fan over here, Kory. Big Tim Patrick fan. I think somebody that is going to have a better year, another person that's coming off injuries, Mekhi Wingo, and I think he could find himself kind of gaining more role with this defensive line. How does he look if he's coming back? I don't know if he was out there specifically. I really didn't see. If he was out there, how did he look? And what did people say about his injury as far as him coming along?
I'm gonna be honest. I was looking at the wide receivers and that combination and Hutchinson. So I don't even know. I'm not sure if Mekhi was out there or not. But I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't see him if he was.
Okay.
And Kory, for me, before we get you out of here, I know you talked about Anzo, but the big thing with Anzo is what would be a fair number to you? The thing I'm hearing with Anzo, and for me, I think if you're going to give Anzalone a contract, which you feel is well-deserved, which I can't really argue too much with it, I think a 1 to 2 year max deal. I think if you want to give him 10 a year, Derek Barnes got 8. I know you mentioned it. That means you got to give Anzalone more than Derek Barnes, all due respect. So he's probably in the ballpark of around $10 million. What do you think, in your opinion, a guy like that deserves? Because he is, 30 years old, father time's undefeated. I'm not saying he's going to fall off a cliff, but you're probably not going to give him a long-term deal. So is a 1 to 2 year deal at about $10 million fair? Do you kind of expect something like that to come from the Lions if they do agree to a contract?
You know what? I really cannot call it because, again, I didn't see Anzo doing the holdout, but again, when you factor in that you gave Derek Barnes his money, and Anzo has been honestly the more significant contributor over the time, it makes the situation really interesting. So now I don't even know what number would really satisfy Anzo at this point. I mean, we know he wants a deal, but again, that number also has to work out for the Lions as well. So
right.
It's I think they're in a rock and a hard place, quite frankly, because they've already given Derek Barnes his money. Now, I mean, they're going to have some money free up by this Frank Ragnow retirement. How much of that, we're going to see very soon, but they're in quite a pickle right here. So hopefully they're able to kind of get to a place where Anzo's not missing too much time. I mean, I believe he's had a history of missing voluntary workouts before. And you also have to factor in, Dan Campbell said the other day that he knew where his two guys were that were not there, Frank Ragnow and Alex Anzalone. He knew what was going on with them and everything was good. So hopefully things right now with Anzo are good and they're trying to figure something out. But, again, remains to be seen.
Hey, do you think, real quick, Kory, do you think, because I actually saw someone talk about that, I can't remember who it was, but someone actually say that the Anzo deal and some of these deals might be on hold until they figure out the money with Aiden Hutchinson. Do you think that's actually a thing? They want to kind of get that Hutch extension done so they know the money they have to work with over the next few years?
I'm not sure about that one. I think if they would have, I mean, that could be the case, but I think if they were going to go ahead and give Hutch his deal, I thought they would have did it initially over the summer. But I mean, who knows? It could have been a financial strategy to do it the way that they've done it. But no, I don't think that has anything. I don't think that has anything to do with it. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, well, we appreciate you, Kory. You're doing some great stuff, man. You're out in Mother Nature, so go and do it, brother. Hey, keep the good work. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot.
There you
Appreciate
go.
it, Kory.
Kory Woods covers Alliance M Live. Does a great job joining the show, talking about Frank Ragnow retiring. And stick with us for those who are tuning in. More Frank to get to, different angles to take on this, because I do want to talk about the money that it frees up, because I think it's roughly about $9 million that'll be freed up with Frank retiring that is no longer on the books. So the big question comes, what do the Lions do with that $9 million? And it just so happens that you have a player that is probably going to be in the range of $10 million that needs a contract extension. I don't know how you guys feel about this. If you already have felt that Anzalone deserves a contract and this solidifies it, or if you are on the boat of, hey, Jack's here, he's going to take over, maybe this kind of pushes you in the direction of paying him. Because for me, I think Anzalone's a great player. I'm not willing to give him any more than 2 years, though. I think it's just for linebackers, man. As much as I love Anzo, he works his ass off. He's played at a high level, even at 30 years old. He probably has another 2 good years left in him before he starts to decline. It's just the reality. Most players are not, the exception that play till they're 37 and play at a high level. I just think with injuries, with everything that comes into aging in the NFL, as much snaps as, I get Anzalone with the Lions has played the most ball he's ever played. But for me, I'm still on board with this extending Anzo. I think the Frank retiring probably pushes me even more in a direction to be on board with extending him. But I'm not willing to move off the years I believe is right, which is max 2 years. If you give him a 1-year deal, $10 million, he already has a year left on his contract. That would have another year after that. And then you could figure out what you want to do with Anzo or what Anzo wants to do. At least he has one more extra year of security. I'm not on board with giving him any more than that. 2 years. That would be 3 total years with this upcoming season with everyone that has to be paid. So I think the money should probably entice the Lions even more to just get this Anzo contract extension wrapped up, or give the Aiden contract, then work at Anzo, however they want to do it. But I think the $9 million, man, if you're going to put it anywhere, it's got to be a priority to probably get one of your captains extended officially.
Yeah.
I don't know what Anzo wants. You're not going to find out what he wants. He's not going to say what he wants. But if it's in the ballpark of 1 to 2 years, I'm on board. Anything more, I'm out. I'm out. I'd rather put the money elsewhere and have Jack Campbell step up to the plate and be the linebacker you think he can be.
Yeah, I think the big problem with that is that Jack is due an extension. You're able to extend Jack next season, like after this season, and I think that's where things come into place. When you look at those yearly contracts for linebackers, Jack Campbell's going to be a guy that is asking for the 15+ million. And I would expect, at least my expectation, I think last year he was a top 10 linebacker. I think he takes a step forward this year. And when you're sitting there and you're looking at it, he's a top, let's just say, being cautious, a top 7 linebacker after the season, correct, boys? Like a Pro Bowler, you're sitting there like, okay, a linebacker at that level is due 15 million, right? Like that's the number right now. Go look at the contracts. The number is that. And whether people are like, hey, he's going to want, like in Cartier in the chat, he's going to want too much. That's not too much. That's what the market is for a high-level linebacker on your team. So you're going to have to pay. It's the same thing. There's no difference of saying, hey, that's too much for him, and being like, Kirby wants this amount, Brian wants this amount, Sam wants this amount. Like, no, that's the amount he is due as a top 10 linebacker in the NFL. That more, he's going to be due that money. So you're going to have to do that. So, Jeff, I'm with you on the side of like, you pay Anzo. And I tweeted it out. Am I allowed to share what I text you boys? Am I allowed to share that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That Anzo. So, and I actually saw, I don't know if you guys saw, there's a lot of people who are still like, how do we know Anzo's actually sitting out when it comes for his contract? He's sitting out. He's not there because of his contract. Like, I put the tweet out. What was it, Jeff? Friday?
Saturday? I thought, or Friday or Saturday.
May 30th. What was that? That might have been Saturday. I don't know if that was Saturday. I said the Detroit Lions need to get an Alex Anzalone deal done ASAP. There's no reason your green dot linebacker should have to sit out of OTAs when you just got a new DC and he has to just sit out just to try and prove a point that he needs money. And lo and behold, who's one of the first people to like that tweet?
Alex Anzalone.
Alex Anzalone. So if people are still speculating, hey, it's not much, Alex Anzalone, most likely, whether he's told someone or not, he's not out here liking tweets like that and quote tweeting people and going back to January and getting his stats and putting on his. That man wants to get some sort of contract. You find a way to pay that man. That is your green dot. You pay him. And obviously, you're not going to pay him $15 million, but you find where it is and you get a 2-year deal done, and you get him some guaranteed money over the next few years. And with the extra money with Frank, you can figure it out. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Even before the Frank thing, to me, it was you pay Alex Anzalone. I think with the Frank one, you know what it opens up, boys, Jeff, that you didn't mention? Zadarius Smith. I think there's a no-brainer that if Zadarius was asking for a certain price and you couldn't do it 2 weeks ago, guess what you can do now? You can give that man his price, and you could pay him. So Zadarius Smith, out of all of this, should be a Detroit Lion, in my opinion, before training camp. And again, it might have been just something he wants to sit out, and they already had a deal done. But
yeah, I think that's another angle to take. I think the way Brad operates, probably going to prioritize his own. But if they have extra money, then to your point, why not give Zadarius? You got a couple extra million to play with. It's tough because if you're going to give Anzo an extension and you have to pay guys down the line, like I'm okay with giving him, like I said, a 1 to 2 year extension, but I'm open to the possibility of maybe in his last year you trade him, or something. Like I think that could happen too. If he wants another extension, you're like, well, we're not going to give it to you, Anzo. We'll trade you to a team that could probably pay you again. There's a lot.
Can I be honest though with that? The only problem I run into with moving on from Anzo, and I want to start
not this
asking,
year, but in 2 years.
But like, let's say the people this year who are like, what if Anzo sits out this year, right? He's made enough money. Like, what if he sits out, or what if he's done? And I genuinely want to know someone's like, what's the plan? Moving Derek Barnes out of the Sam and put Rodrigo, like what genuinely, who do you feel comfortable replacing Alex Anzalone with? Because you're in a Super Bowl window. You need that level. Like you can't afford, in my opinion, at that position. Yes, Jack has passed him up, and to me, he's the best linebacker on the team. But Anzo's still very, very good, in my opinion. Top 30 in the NFL at his position. You can't just be like, hey, we'll replace him with a top 50 guy. No, that's a big deal. Again, that's your green dot. People in my comments are like, he's not the green. He is the green dot when he is playing. He is the captain, and he is the vocal leader of that defense. So it's like, okay, for the people who say no on Anzo or let him walk after this year, what is your plan?
I mean, it'd have to be I'm just saying it would have to be Jack and Derek. And then at Sam, you'd probably put your boy Nowoski there.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying though? It's like, that's where I'm like with Brad. To me, it's like, hey, we didn't go draft a linebacker this year. You didn't bring a linebacker in. I know Klotz wanted Robert Spillane. You didn't bring another linebacker in free agency. You paid Derek Barnes. What is the plan there if you're not going to pay Alex Anzalone? And that's where I kind of have a problem being like, hey, just let him walk, because it's too big of a deal, in my opinion. Like, it's too big of a loss to not even have a plan in place at this moment. At least like with Frank or something, that you have Graham, you have Tate that you drafted. You have guys in the building. Obviously, you're not going to get that level, but you have a plan. If you let Anzo walk, I mean, what's your plan, dude? I genuinely would love to know, if people want him to walk, where your mind goes with that.
I think the easy answer is to draft somebody, but at the same. And
how long did it take Jack to get to that level? And he was a first round linebacker. So it's like, you draft a guy in the second and you wait 4 years?
Yeah, I agree. And I know you guys have been touching on it, and you guys have been doing a great job. My dog won't shut the fuck up, so I had to kind of sub out there for a second. But I think if you pay Alex Anzalone, to your point, $10 million, you're paying him the same amount that, Robert Spillane would be making more than him. You're paying them the same money as Bobby Uriquier, Ernest Jones, Zaire Franklin. And I think Alex Anzalone over the last 2 years has been playing Zaire Franklin, you can have an argument for, but in coverage, Anzalone kills him. He's the best linebacker out of those guys, and there's guys even making more money than that. Like, I think he's still, at this point, he's a better linebacker than Azeez Al-Shire, and I love Azeez Al-Shire, but he's even get suspended and missing the season. Like, I'd take Anzo over him. There's times when you look at Anzo and you look at him playing for the Detroit Lions, and you're like, he probably was a top 5 linebacker this week across the whole NFL. Now, maybe it's different throughout the rest of the season, but $10 million for Alex Anzalone is a no-brainer. So I just had to make that clear if it wasn't already.
Yeah, I don't even know what it would be. We're assuming that 10 would be enough. I don't know.
I've seen people on Twitter saying he's going to reset the market, he wants to. And I'm like, what are we talking about here? He doesn't want to I don't think Anzo wants to reset the market. I think it's just he wants some sort of payday.
Yeah, Anzo realizes that he's played his best football over the last 2 seasons, and he probably has another good 2 seasons left, so he wants to be paid like it.
Yeah, which is fair. If it's a couple million more, it's just, again, how is the contract structured and how much more money does he want? Is there a point where you're like, hey, we can't do it? I don't know what that point would be for Brad. Is it 14 million? Is it 15 million? Is it 13 million? Maybe it's even lower. So, I don't know. It's tough. I love Anzo. I do. I just think, man, when you look at it just in broad terms with all the guys you have to pay, it's like you can't just be paying guys just because you love them, and you want to keep them. I don't think he wants to reset the market. I think that's just people talking out of their ass.
I mean,
I
who?
don't think,
I'm not gonna.
I'm not
naming
saying you, Booner. No, I'm not saying you, but like who in the right mind actually think what leverage would Alex Anzalone see Fred Warner get paid, Roquan Smith get paid, and be like, I'm those guys.
You guys want to go read my comments? I mean, we could have a little fun. We could do a whole segment. To be honest, we could do a whole segment on all of my comments on my Twitter, man. It's
an accountability segment.
It's ridiculous, man. It is. It's insane. I don't know though. It's just, to me, I think in my opinion, listen, this is if I was GM, I would just have, no matter whatever happened to Frank, I would have gotten the deal done with Anza. Let's just figure this out. I don't know what the price is, but you just get a 2-year deal done. And if he doesn't want that, okay, let's figure out signing bonuses. Let's come together to a solution here to keep you in the building over the next 2 seasons minimum, so we can keep the Super Bowl hopes alive and we can keep this window open. And number 2, Frank Ragnow retires. If I'm Brad Holmes, in the back of my mind, yeah, it is one of the biggest losses, in my opinion, in the NFL, losing Frank Ragnow with the Detroit Lions. But as soon as it happens, I call Cash Doll and Zadarius Smith, and I say,
I hate hearing Cash.
It's time to sign. It's time to get this deal done.
She's like his agent.
It's time. Listen, you get that deal done. Like it doesn't have to be Zadarius, Matthew Judon, Jadeveon Clowney. You go get one of those guys, and you say, hey, we have $10 million for next year. And it frees some up. If you want a 2-year deal, we'll figure that out, because we had Frank, on the money, the way it worked. Well, you go look at the contract. So they would have been able to work something out, in my opinion, for a 2-year deal.
Well, you have 2 years until Brian and Sam, their contract were to kick in.
Yes.
Because they're in the 3rd year.
And at the end of the day, restructures next year, right?
Yeah. So they're
Jared Goff.
So 2 years until they would kick in. I'm assuming they'll both get extended next offseason.
What year does Goff's contract really hit in?
This next year, or not this year, but the following. I can name it off to you, because I think the thing is like Goff's contract is like the big talking point on any because
there's a big hit.
It's not that it's just like, hey, each year is 40-something million. It's that going into this year, it's $32.6 million cap hit, which is really good, right? Like that's 11% of your cap. 2026, boys, $69.6 million. So $70 million cap hit, which is almost 23% of your cap.
Oh my God.
That's huge. And then the next year it's 55. And then there's an opt-out after 27. But then in 2028, it's $61 million cap hit. So there has to be, to me, there should be no question about a restructure if you're Jared Goff. Yeah. You have to do it, or you will not have a chance. Like, I think Jared knows, you're not going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl if you don't figure out that cap. You can't win a Super Bowl if your quarterback has 20+% of your cap. The only quarterback I think that's ever come close to it is Patrick Mahomes. And I don't even think he was at 20% of the cap.
No, it was like 12.
Yeah. Easy's had that rule. And that's one of the things that I've always agreed with Easy on is that cap percent. No team's ever won it under or over 12% besides Patrick Mahomes or something.
And now he's way lower because he took a discount. I mean, he's literally making less money. But yeah, like Tom Brady when he was with the Tampa Bay Bucks, it was always, I think it was 25 a year. 30. He took less to win. So it's like those guys are exceptions.
You just push the dead cat. It all comes. You know who it comes down to though? Sheila. How much money is she willing to take hits on?
Yeah, because we talked about it. We were talking about it with Easy too over the weekend. It's like the Eagles, man. They're willing to spend money.
Push that money down the line. The next 10 years, we'll do dead cap
because they got owners that are willing to spend. It's same with Sheila. This is the first time they've been in this situation where you got to fork up some cash.
I think she'll do it.
It's tricky. There's so many. This team, it's a good problem to have because they draft so well, but you have to start thinking about this upcoming season. You need another linebacker. You need I mean, you got to start thinking. And they don't draft for need, but fuck that. You got to draft for need. You need a linebacker. You need a center. I mean, we got to start thinking about need here.
That's why I was shocked, dude.
If they go through another year, if they go through another draft and you don't draft a center or a linebacker and you say, well, we didn't draft off need, then
you have to, and I don't care you have to address left tackle next year.
Yeah. Or you know what, like Brad says,
Frank Ragnow with Taylor Decker.
Like Brad says, they use free agency to address needs. Okay, if you don't re-sign Anzo, you better sign a pretty good linebacker. I don't know who's out there next season, but
or left tackle
still available.
To be fair, okay. To be fair, boys, Brad has gotten needs in free agency. Like he went out. And
he does. That's where he gets them.
So it's hard to make these comments and then like go at Brad because it's like we know for a fact next offseason he's going to go out and get some guys in free agency. Obviously, the money's not going to be as lenient as it was in the past, but the man's going to go out there and if he needs a center, if he realizes, hey, none of these guys can step up and play center, he will go do it. Yeah,
because DJ Reader is going to come off the books in like a year.
Yeah,
so that'll
free up last year.
Because now you're paying Tyleek. I mean, he's on a rookie deal.
Deals.
He'll take over for DJ, and then you could probably move DJ Reader's money. You could probably give Anzo. And then
you have those offensive linemen. Christian Mahogany rookie deal. How much with the money with the contracts? We always said at some point that offensive line is going to have to get cheaper. Because you had Frank, who I know he wasn't getting paid. He was like, I think the average was like 13 mil at the time. Was the highest paid center when he signed. Panay, highest paid tackle. Taylor Decker was top 10 tackle. Kevin Zeitler at the time, he signed his deal. He was pretty high paid. At some point, you were like, hey, we got to get cheap here, dude. And they went out.
We got to get cheap here, dude.
Yeah, they went out. They got 3 Miles Frazier. Christian Mahoney, Tate, all rookie deals.
I got the doc about this. I want to show you guys this before we get into like Tate Ratledge and Graham and all that stuff. Doc put out an article. It's actually Christian who writes for Detroit Lions on SI, and they put out an article as free agent centers that could replace Ragnow that are free agents right now. And let me just show you.
Ugly, dude.
Let me show you this.
Fucking bad.
I saw the list earlier. There was only one that maybe you could like make an argument for.
It puts into perspective like what the options really are. I mean, you look at this. So these are top free agent centers. So Daniel Brunskill.
I think he's the only one you could make any sort of argument for because he started last season for a little bit. That's it.
Who?
No one knows, but he started.
No one knows.
I don't even know who. I just saw 8 starts last year.
Klotz, am I not a ball knower? Who is Daniel Brown?
I think no one knows who Danny is.
No, not a fucking chance. Not a chance. And there's no more saying that's the thing that really sucks about it. Think about, I know it's different because center, but think about when we're talking about guards. Like you could plug a guard in between Panay and Frank and they'll do just fine. That whole conversation is now over. So when you got to think about a center, it's not like they have bums around them, but they're now like truly like on an island that's going to be supporting other people with Mahogany. Like Mahogany, you hope you can see up a younger player. Now Tate Ratledge. Like now you're going to potentially have an even younger guy there in the future or Graham Glasgow.
Do you guys remember one of my biggest hills I've died on over the last year? I think it might have been not last year, but 2 years ago. And I had the conversation with you guys. I always went back to it. The conversation or a story that I heard about Frank, and you guys know this, when he was out, the film and everything that he does on a weekly basis as the center, where he watches as someone, I can't remember who it was, but had talked about like Frank watches more film or just as much as Jared Goff, as the OC, as Dan Campbell, that like as the center, that this guy is like one of the best minds in the entire NFL. And like, I can't remember the conversation we had, boys, but I brought up a couple years ago, this would be the biggest piece to lose in this offense because Frank isn't just, he's got the size, he can block. This guy is the smartest guy in your offense. Like he calls out every single coverage, every single blocking scheme. If you guys see him out there pointing everything out, the stories come out about all him sitting in there with Jared Goff at 5 a.m, coming in and them breaking film down. He is the voice, the eyes, everything on that offense. And it's like whoever replaces him, That's what you're replacing. Like when Graham stepped in, it wasn't like, yeah, I think it was a game 2 years ago where they were on their like winning streak, and I think he was out and they lost, and everyone was like, what happened? Or the offense was like terrible. And then people realized like how big of a deal Frank actually was outside of the play on the field. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that. Honestly, I think the only people who could ever be as good as that is him, Jason Kelce, because Jason Kelce was smart and called things out.
Saturday with Peyton.
Yeah. But it's just such a skill that people don't have, and Frank had it outside of the actual like play on the field.
So since Dan Campbell's been the head coach of the Lions are 6-10-1 without Frank Ragnow. So you have to include the first season,
the full season.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, 6-10-1 basically is their record without Frank. But that's a couple of those losses was when he was out. The year they were absolutely.
I think it was at
awful.
Chicago. I think
I'll go
the
last since 2022. They are 4-2
without
so
Frank.
it's still not like ideal. They're a better team, obviously, but it's not ideal.
I know it was one game. I just go back to that story that I heard of someone in the building talking about it, and it hit me where it was like Frank's a way bigger deal than people think, and it's not just his play on the field. Like it's the film. He knows every single scheme.
Getting every other people, like to your point, everybody else ready on that offensive line, like making sure they're all in sync.
And I'm sure guys on that old line that have even been there aren't on that level of Frank of knowing every single play, knowing this, knowing that, to where they relied on Frank. Maybe some guys relied on Frank a little bit in those situations. And now it's like, who's going to take that over? Someone's got to step up.
Well, look at these other names are disgusting. Mike Panasiuk.
What a name.
Leaf Fatanu.
Just keep fucking going.
Nick Gates.
And that's it.
Tristan Castillo. Connor McGovern.
I've heard of Connor McGovern. There's somebody that I recognize.
He was a Pro Bowl selection last season. Shares the same name as the center who was a Pro Bowl selection.
Oh, no.
Jake
Hansen. That makes sense.
Jake
Is that Jason Hadsen's son?
Maybe.
No.
No.
Noah Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. Michigan Panthers. Is that what I see?
Yeah.
And that is all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Graham
on
Glasgow.
No. So here's the question that comes into the equation. Is who's going to play center this season? All right. And I think this is where I'm coming from with it, because I know people get excited and they go, hey, Tate Ratledge, he's snapping the ball now. And we had the Georgia Bulldogs writer who came on, told us that I've never heard this before, that he was the emergency center at Georgia. So he wasn't, just in case there was an emergency, he would play center. He played, I think, tackle coming out of high school, played guard at Georgia, was very good at guard. He's not, to go from not snapping the ball at Georgia to playing center as a rookie, it was just not going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. What's going to happen is Graham's going to play center this season for the Lions. Tate Ratledge is going to play guard. And then maybe as the years go on, maybe next offseason, you could start having that conversation now with Tate playing a year at guard. Maybe it's like Panay. Panay played left tackle and then moved to right tackle. I think there could be something like that with Tate, but to suggest that he plays it this season, there is, I think, probably a 5% chance he plays that. And I'm only doing that because I'm throwing a little bone out there. I just don't see the Lions throwing Tate Ratledge in the fire at center. Like, that's just not fair to him. You know what I mean? Like, as much responsibility as that position commands, and you have a rookie who's never played center, and you're just like, hey, dude, we're getting a Super Bowl, and you're going to play the most important position besides tackle for us as a rookie. Like, that's just like, I don't think that's fair to him. So I'm going to go Graham at center, Tate at guard. And although at times it's going to look it's going to get, it's going to be a little tricky.
It'll take time.
That's just the best. Unfortunately, that's just the best option they have. They just don't have anyone else that could fit that role. Maybe Miles Frazier, but again, a rookie, no way. I don't see that either.
So this is my theory. And when all this happened today, and you know what? Again, I think we all should deserve a grieving period, because as soon as it happened, I tweeted out your next starting center, Tate Ratledge. I put with the question mark too, so people can't really say Booner. And then before the show, I actually tweeted out my opening week depth chart prediction, and I said Graham Glasgow will be your starting center. And Tate Ratledge will play his normal position at right guard. Now, this is what's going to happen. And Jeff, I agree and disagree with you, because Tate Ratledge will be your franchise's starting center of the future. Like, he will be that guy. I genuinely believe that they will get him. I think he is good enough, and for them to, I know they get everyone reps at a certain spot, but at rookie minicamp, for him to get those reps, and then at OTAs, for them to be like, hey, he's getting first team snaps, that shows me that, hey, they know what's going on with Frank. Tate Ratledge is going to train at center, and he is going to learn. And what's going to happen, and listen, Jeff, this is where you might be like, Booner, pick a side. I think through training camp and through this offseason, they're going to throw Tate Ratledge at center and right guard is like 50-50 split. And I think they're going to throw everything at him in center. They're going to try and teach him. They're going to see what he can handle, all of that. And if he's ready to go by week 1, and you're like, and it happens all the time in the league, we're like, oh, this kid is like that good. Like, he's got it. Then I think week 1, you're looking at a Tate Ratledge. But I think at some point, if they don't feel he's ready, it's going to be Graham. And it could be week 4. It could be week 7. It could be next year. As soon as they feel like Tate Ratledge is at that level to be your starting center, he will be your future starting center. And that, I'll die on the hill. It might not be right away, but it's going to happen. I think it's inevitable for him to be your starting center. I look at guys like Cooper Beebe last year, who came out of Kansas State, who was a guard in Dallas, comes into Dallas as a guard, I think their center went down or something happened, moves over to center, boom, good to go. And they were like, hey, this guy, the traits he has, he's ready to go. It's his mind. He's at that level. We talked about how much we loved him last year. Look at, I don't remember where he went. I think it might've been Las Vegas. Jackson Powers Johnson was the number 1 rated guard coming out of the draft last year. And he was going to be a guard for the Raiders. Guess what happened? Center goes down. Who steps up? Jackson. He actually talked about it on the podcast. I'll do it. Jackson Powers Johnson steps up. He is now their starting center for their franchise moving forward. Like, you see it all the time. I think it's the same thing with Tate Ratledge, to where this guy's like, I'll die to win games. I think Tate Ratledge, it could be, again, I know people, hey, it's weak to say this, Booner. No, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he's your starting center week 1. And I also wouldn't be shocked if they're like, hey, we don't feel he is ready yet, but he will be your starting center at some point this season. So
it's just,
that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I wonder, because we've seen the lines last year with Terrion Arnold, cornerback 1 of this team. I know they had Carlton Davis, but you saw points where Davis went down. Like, they threw Terrion out there. When is a good time to throw Tate Ratledge out there in the middle of the season? Because when you look at Graham started to show some big signs of struggle at left guard. So if you move him to center, where we've even seen, like, he's naturally a guard and a center, but we've seen him struggle at center times when Frank wasn't there. So would you rather just, hey, say Frank or Graham, play your best position at right guard, and Tate, we got to figure this out ASAP, because later in the year we got divisional games. When you look at the Minnesota Vikings, what they just invested in their interior, their defensive line, getting Jonathan Allen in free agency. Chicago, Javon Dexter is a monster. If you didn't see it when the Lions were playing him this year, Javon Dexter is going to be a problem for a long time. And then they got Montez Sweat even dipping inside. And Green Bay has Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt. So even inside the NFC North, the divisional games, the interior of that offensive line is going to be exposed. I would rather, if you're going to go with Tate, do it week 1 and figure out those struggles versus, hey, Graham, we have to figure out that you're not going to be the guy this year at center, and we're going to go with Tate in the middle of the season and be like, you know what, figure it out now. I say if you're going to go with Tate at any point during the season, you might as well start out week 1, let him go up against the Packers, let him go up against the Bears, let him go with the Ravens, and then you got the Browns. Figure it out the week against the Browns. You had 3 games where you had like, okay, this is tough, but if you're going to be the center going forward for this team, week 1, that's where you should be playing. Because regardless, to your guys' point, he's going to have struggles. If he goes at guard, he's going to have to figure out the NFL spot at guard. He's going to struggle. Or you put him at center, say, this is where you're going to go. Figure it out. Because he is an intelligent football player. He does, when you see him move, like, he's quick at getting to the second level. He has all the traits of a center that you could want. So now it's time to develop it. Brad's big on development. You're cross-training him right now. Let's see it. Because coming out of Georgia, I do have faith that he would be able to, not week one, but he was a high-level guard at Georgia. And Booner, you're bringing up guys in the NFL that have done it before. I think if you're going to pick a guy out of that draft class at guard to be like, okay, go try to play some center, it would be outside of Jared Wilson, who was already at Georgia, only played 1 year, though. It would be Tate Ratledge. The dude's just a natural offensive lineman in the interior. So there's traits of success that could be there. I'd rather go with it off the rip.
I do think, though, like with the whole thing, too, with Glasgow, like I do think Glasgow would rather play guard. And someone put it in the chat there, like Glasgow might not want to play center full time. And like Glasgow, obviously, if the coach is, hey, we need you here, he's going to do it. He's a team guy. But do you think he really would rather play? Like, I feel like he's more so that I would rather be at guard.
I mean,
at the end of the day,
I don't know if I get what you're saying. I don't know if that should factor in as much, like, because your point. Like,
what's he better at though?
He wasn't bad at center. Really
but who would what position?
I think if I'm being completely honest, who's a better week one option?
Graham. It's Graham. Yeah. And I get what Klotz is saying. I just think it takes time. Like, I think the center position compared to guard, it's like, okay, you have this job. Yeah, center, again, it's a conversation we had with Frank. Like, you have to know everyone's job. You don't need to just know, hey, guard. It's like, hey, you need to know what the quarterback's doing, what the center's doing, both guards. You need to know everything. Tight ends.
Yeah. And
it's going to take a little longer.
And Graham's played center with the Broncos. He played center with he has experience playing center. So that's why I think week one he'll play it. Now, I'm not saying throughout the season, maybe he's so bad you have to make a switch, but I just don't see Tate starting week one at center. I don't.
That's where I'm at. That's why I tweeted out.
But we agree he's the future center. I mean,
It's just I run into the problem is like, I agree with you guys that week one Graham probably would be the good option, but like let's look. I believe it's week 8 or 9. Whichever week they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they got to go up against Kalijah Kancey, who's very quick, very elusive. This is going to be a Monday night game. The Buccaneers won in Detroit, whooped their ass. Not whooped their ass, but for the game, they controlled it. And you're going to have Graham Glasgow going up against Kalijah Kancey. That is not going to be good. He doesn't have that step anymore. Yeah, and I just look at that.
You're doing matchups, but it's like, hey, you're talking about Tate Ratledge, a rookie. Like, to me, it's like you can't
like I would almost, because of the athleticism and because how just where they are at their step, like when I see Tate Ratledge, I have a little bit more confidence. I agree with you that as far as just a pure center, Graham's probably better right now. But up to that point during that season when you're starting to go up against, now we got the Commanders. Now we got the Cowboys who have a good defensive line, the Eagles late in the season, in the playoffs. It's going to probably be the better option at that point would be Tate.
You can train him, though.
Whole season.
But Klotz, like the point is, at least in my opinion, it's like if you just throw him out to the Wolves as a center week one, knowing like, hey, he's not ready, but hey, let's get him experience, and you lose a couple games because like you're having some struggles there, and it's like you just let a rookie at center, and you knew he wasn't ready, and you could have taken the safe option and said, hey, let's get our vet in there that's played this in big games, has played center in his career, and started for a long time in center at times in his career. You can trust him, and you can say, hey, let's get through these games. Let's let Tate keep learning off outside of games at practice. Like game experience, yes, it helps. You could still learn. Like he could still learn to where when he does step in, he's going to be better than he would be week one. So it's like, let's wait until he gets to that level. Well, boom, throw him in. It's too important of a position.
No one's mentioned it is new offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? You're going to want someone that already has been, you know what I mean? Like, to have a new OC week one, I know it's a similar system, but okay, that helps Graham then. Like Graham's been in the system already. You know what I mean? So I think what you're saying, Klotzy, is right. I just don't know if it'll be
the actual outcome.
I think if you were a different team, if you're like with the Panthers or like with the Titans or something, and you have a guy, you're like, ooh, like our center just retired. We just drafted a guard. Let's throw him into the Wolves the first few weeks and let him get that experience. I just don't think the Lions can afford to drop a couple games or maybe even one game just based off of, hey, we have a rookie playing center, our most important position on the offensive line, especially in the offense that you have. You're sitting there, you're like, if that happens, hindsight, you're going to be like, oh man, like those.
Well, you know what they're going to have to do more of, and they had this benefit with Frank where you could put them one-on-one with guys. They're going to have to double. Like you're going to have Graham and Tate, Graham and Christian. Like you can leave Panay on an island, but like Decker probably going to have to be on an island sometimes. You know what I mean? Like Because Frank, you could straight up be like, all right, Frank, go handle it. You know what I mean? Now, like, you can't just say that to Graham. Like, as much as I love Graham, just not that type of player. And Nick P says this. He just stream on Twitch, by the way. I always forget. It's like free content. You could probably ask him questions too.
Okay.
Graham said today on Twitch he is content with being at center or right guard. His chat was probably flooding, dude. Like, he was live today when Frank retired. Damn. But
Should have
right,
watched. I didn't even think of that.
I forget he streams
Yeah.
all these games. But yeah, I mean, if he's cool with it, you heard it that way. Diggity Dog saying no way because a guy's a rookie's wild, like a rookie center or a rookie never played center before.
No, listen. I mean, who was that? Diggity Dog?
Diggity Dog.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't listen to the statement, if he's ready to go week 1, I'm all for playing him. It's just about getting to that level as a Super Bowl contender. Is your rookie ready? Like, center, I mean, there's a lot of things you need to learn. Like, there's a lot to it, and I think he could get to it. I don't know if he will, though, but I'm not willing to say, hey, if he doesn't get there, I know it's kind of playing both sides, but if he doesn't get there, I'm not confident being like, yeah, just throw him in there. I need you to get to that level. I think Hank Fraley will do a good job of getting him as close to that level if he needs to be honest. Do you guys understand? Does that even make sense? You guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Ben Blue says Glasgow's best season was at right guard, but he has started at center plenty before. If we can get Ratledge acclimated to the O-line before he makes the switch, that'd be perfect. Yeah, and Dan kind of mentioned that too. Was it Dan? I think it was Brad actually that talked about it. Like, guys, we try and throw so much at guys early. Like, just let them play their natural position, but it doesn't mean you can't cross-train them. But, like, yeah, I think, to be like, all right, you're our center week 1. It's like he has a couple months to learn the center position. Go like that's a lot, dude. It's like in a couple months, and then it's like week 1, you're going up against Kenny Clark. It's like, all right, dude, take care of business. It's like,
yeah, but now when you get in the thick of that season,
now when you get in the thick of it, maybe he, in practice, everything's picking up a lot more. Maybe you have that argument.
Wait a minute.
I'm not saying.
Is this true?
I just saw the doc. The doc was live. Was he live?
He was live from 8 to 9. Have we? Okay. It's interesting, Doc.
We're going to have to control the airways for a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's just noted, Doc.
We have beef now, Doc?
Yeah, right during our time. You couldn't go 7 to 8?
Yeah. How many? He was a lot of beers deep. He was a lot of beers deep today.
Cody said, yeah, he was. I was listening to both of you guys. So he's okay, Doc. See what's happening here.
Damn, Doc. All right.
I'm gonna start. We're gonna start writing articles.
I do. I do want to bring this up, fellas. I gotta ask the tough question here. What does the Frank Ragnow retirement do to the Lions' Super Bowl chances? Let's just keep it a stack. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. The O-line, strength of the team. Frank Ragnow, top 2, top 3 center at center in the NFL. Top 2, top 3 best at his position. I've seen today, and the thing that does bother me is like the extremisms or the extreme overreactions where people are like, "Oh, window's done," or it's like, "Oh, they're done." Because Frank Ragnow retired, which I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't affect them. I think it absolutely does. I think their chances of winning a Super Bowl when you lose one of your best players goes down. That's just like, that's not like a hot take. You know what I mean? That's just, it is what it is. But when you look at the team overall, do they still have a chance at winning it? Yes, of course.
All right. I was about to say.
But I will say they have less of a chance. Don't think it's a lot, but Frank hurts them. Yeah. I mean, not having Frank Ragnow, like you're in the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship and you're facing the Eagles or you're facing the Rams and you're battling with those D-lines, like, yeah, it's going to hurt you. Or if you're in the Super Bowl and you got to go up against Mahomes and Chris Jones in the middle, it's going to hurt you. But I don't think it's Frank Ragnow retiring, fellas, like, oh, hey, no more Super Bowl contenders or anything like that. I'm not going to say that. But it puts a, it sucks. It puts a knife in some of those chances, but it's not a lot. I don't think it's drastic. I don't.
I have in my notes, all right, and I just saw someone in the chat put this. This is how I feel about the Lions Super Bowl this year. At the top of my note page, it said Frank Ragnow retires. And then I wrote a sentence down, and below it, I did the depth chart: left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. That sentence: Jason Kelce retires, Eagles win the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you this: I know they have Cam Jurgens. Jeff, lift your head up. You know, like that. You guys know that meme of that basketball player when his the center has the head down, and he walks over and lifts the head up. Like, keep your head up. That's me right
you better
there.
add context with this, Boone. You did.
No one knew, and if you want to say you did, you're lying. People knew what Cam Jurgens was, but they weren't like, hey, this guy's. We're talking about a top 5 center of all time with Jason Kelce. Walks away from the game on one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Very similar situation with the Detroit Lions. I have said it a million times, boys. This team has been built in the trenches. And who is the heart of that? You could say Penei Sewell. No, he is the best offensive lineman in the NFL. The heart of it and the leader of it is Frank Ragnow. Same thing in Philadelphia. Who was the best lineman on that team? Lane Johnson. Who was the heart and the leader of that offensive line? Jason Kelce. So am I going to sit up here and say, and there are people who are going to say it, Lions aren't going to win the Super Bowl. They lost Frank Ragnow. No. Eagles fans probably had that same thought. Oh my gosh, we just lost the heart of our offense. Like, this was our especially with the tush push. The Detroit Lions will be just fine. As much as people in the moment right now, news hits, oh my gosh, Frank Ragnow, they're going to be just fine. You still have Hank Fraley in there manning this offensive line. You drafted Tate Ratledge, and hopefully he steps up. You still do have Graham. No one's going to play to that level. Cam Jurgens, year 1, did not play to Jason Kelce's level. He did not. Jason Kelce's one of the greatest ever. But you know what he did? The man held the fort down. And he said, all right, here we go. Like, we're going to battle. And I need Lane Johnson to help me. I need Mekhi Becton to help me. Listen, boys, offensive line. Taylor Decker's got to step up. Graham's got to step up. Penei's got to play on a different level. It's time for Chris Mahogany to step up. Like, that's all it comes down to. I don't think it's a dead cause at all. Like, we've seen teams like that lose players. So no. Yeah, does it hurt? Yeah, but listen, I think the Eagles doing it literally a year ago is the perfect example of being like, okay, we can deal with this, overcome the storm, go win a Super Bowl.
I like the tactic that you pulled out there.
You cannot say it's different.
If you're asking me, with
cannot say it's
coordinator
different.
Change, with just the offseason that's transpired, and now you had Frank. I was always already kind of bullish about the Lions being Super Bowl
Eagles changed coordinators too.
I understand, but they got Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore.
So they still changed.
Both very proven guys. I was already very bullish on saying, you know what, I think the Lions are going to be right where they were. Even before the Frank Ragnow stuff happened, I said going into this year, it's been the toughest year, I think, when you compare it to 2022 and 2023. Or I'm sorry, 2024 and 2023. You add this in, I just think if you're asking me straight up, would you bet on the Lions winning the Super Bowl this year? The simple answer would be no. This doesn't mean that they're not going to be a good team, that they're not going to be better in 2025, 2026. But I think this year that we're watching right now is going to be the most difficult out of last year and the year before. When you look at the schedule, when you look at the losses at coordinator, when you look at the loss of Frank Ragnow, doesn't mean that the Lions aren't going to win 10, 11 games. But I don't think I could be serious looking you in the face saying that the Lions have not gotten to the Super Bowl yet. And now you look at losing Frank Ragnow, you got to go through the Eagles, the Rams, the Commanders, the NFC North in general. The interior of these defensive lines, it's been an emphasis this offseason. And you just lost one of the top 2 people at the center position, top 2 players in Frank Ragnow. That at some point during the season, it's going to bite you in your ass. And at some point, you really can't do anything about it for the Detroit Lions because you weren't predicting Frank Ragnow to retire this year. And it's just one of those things that sucks. But I think that's why I was saying in the postseason, it's going to matter when I said just start Tate Ratledge week 1. It's so you get the best Tate Ratledge at center in the playoffs. And I think that's where it matters the most. Like Frank Ragnow, you got Jalen Carter, you got those guys coming at you at Philadelphia with Jared Goff, an immobile quarterback. That's going to be a problem. So if you're going to ask me 2025, I don't think the Lions win the Super Bowl. Doesn't mean they don't have a chance. I'm not saying 0%. But I would not put my money on it as of right now.
No. Your statement, and I just started a notes app. That's called the accountability app. Or hold on, let me pull it up. The accountability page.
In there, Boone?
No, because I just started it today because that statement Klotz made to open it up. People, and Jeff, you're the one that told me this this weekend when we had a couple sodas in us. You said, Booner, you need to make a notes app to start holding people accountable. So
I do.
I heard that this weekend, and I figured the first thing that triggers me, I'm going to hold people accountable. The opening statement from Klotz there, you can't be like, well, it's not 0%. No, you said, will the Detroit Lions win a Super Bowl this year? No. You will be held accountable.
Okay. That's
Well,
I've said.
you
I've
can't
said
say
this
there's not a
before.
0%.
You're acting like this
You
is
said
the first
no.
time I said this.
But then there's the flip side. Can we be fair? If one of us makes a statement and it's true, we get credit.
Yeah, 100%. I will put some in. 100%. Hey, this accountability thing will. I'll be on there. If you guys say, "Hey, Booner, put that on the sheet," I'll put it on there. You brought up the point this week, and you're the one that started this because you told me with a couple drinks and as you said,
well, I said you gotta be on that list too. If you say things.
Oh yeah, and what did I say? Yeah, 100%.
All right.
How many times have I came out and said, "Hey, I'm wrong"? You guys have. I've said it. I've been wrong a lot. I'm always
you
wrong.
Said after the Commanders game, you gave Jeff credit, Boone.
What's his name? Broderick Martin. Wrong.
Can I gotta address what you said about the Eagles because I get where your head's at. I think to be fair, I would side with Klotz on the coordinator point. I think the coordinator, in theory, like new coordinators is true, but I think it's different because of who they got. Would you agree with that, Boone? Or do you don't want to you disagree with that? The coordinator thing.
Yeah, no, obviously it's a little different.
They brought in like guys that were obviously like best at.
Hear me out too, boys. When I say the comparison, I'm not saying it is identical. Obviously, there are parts that are a little
done, is what you're saying.
Yes, my point is, hey, guys, like the Eagles, like that is a bigger loss than Frank. Jason Kelce was at a higher level. Like Jason Kelce was one of the greatest ever, and they found a way to step in.
They had a plan, though.
That's where I'll disagree.
They did with Cam Jurgens. They did have Cam Jurgens. But to me, it's like you still have guys in the building that can step up and play. Obviously, it's not going to be done as at a high of a level. But being like, you can't do it at all. You can't do what they did. That to me is a little like off center. Like saying, hey, they're not winning a Super Bowl because Frank Ragnow leaves. That's wrong to me. Like you could have easily said, hey, the Eagles aren't going to win a Super Bowl. They're going to struggle.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was a conversation in Philly last year.
And I think this is the reality. Like, take the Tate Ratledge thing out of it. Like, okay, Tate can be the future center. Awesome. Like, we'll find out. Now let's talk about how Brad has approached it versus Howie. Howie knew there was already a tell that Jason Kelce was going to retire soon. They knew it. And they had Cam Jurgens, who they loved. I think he played at Nebraska. I'm not really sure on that. He played in a Big Ten school, but he was a good center. They drafted him. They developed him for 2 years, whatever. I think he actually played some guard for them, ironically. But he was a center, but then he moved to guard. And then I think they moved him back to center, but he was already in the building. Like they had an idea that they were developing this guy to be the replacement.
Yeah.
So when Jason left, he just slid right in, had chemistry, learned from Jason, like had experience. That's where I think Brad, in a sense, like, although I'm excited for Tate, I think that's where the fumble is from Brad. It's like you kind of knew that this was going to happen.
For sure.
Like, they're replacing Frank with Graham, who, like, Graham's 30 years old, man, 31.
What happens when Graham goes down?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you on that. But again, with that one, it's like if Cam Jurgens goes down, like no matter what.
No.
It's the same exact thing. Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it. Who's going to be playing?
But Cam's stock would be doing this. Like, because he's young, only going to play better and he learns. Like, Graham.
If you drafted someone last year and they stepped in this year, you would be more confident. I think that's just an obvious statement.
Yeah, like that's the tricky part with the Lions.
I just think too, and Boone, you're bringing up credible points, so I don't want to make it seem like not listening. But I think what we got to look at too with the Eagles and with the Lions, Jalen Hurts, that boy can fucking move. If there's interior pressure, he can duck out of there and he can go. Jared Goff, with any quarterback, interior pressure sucks. But Jared Goff, that's when we see Goff, like, he looks like the different Jared Goff. And that's why I'm saying, like, this team's still going to be good. But that's, like, when I think of, okay, if Jared Goff's in a playoff game, say you get the first round bye. You got the divisional game, you got the NFC Championship game, and you got the Super Bowl. Those are 3 games where you're most likely going up against an elite defensive lines, probably in the interior as well. And through one of those 3 games, he's going to be uncomfortable. Do I have enough confidence for him to overcome that, given the coordinator's situation? No, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the obvious statement and people acting like Klotz, like, oh, Klotz is right. The Klotz is wrong. Like, at the end of the day, the obvious statement is this offensive line going to take a step back? Yes. If you don't think so, you're an idiot. The offense, like if I want to hear someone actually say, hey, they're going to be just fine, they're going to be great. Wrong. They're going to take a step back. There's going to be growing pains. They're going to have to learn. Jared's going to have to learn with the new center. Like that's a statement of fact. Saying though, there will not, there is not a chance for them to win the Super Bowl. That's wrong. That's also idiotic in my mind. Like that also. So the people, all the people, hold on, Klotz. All the people in the chat that are saying 100 Klotz, facts Klotz, Klotz is right. You all don't think the Detroit Lions can still win the Super Bowl? We'll love to hear your statement on that because that's what Klotz just said tonight. As he said, they will not win the Super Bowl because Frank Ragnow was gone and they did not have a plan. Now, like a guy like Shift God's been on this. And this is why, all right, we're talking about Ragnow. Shift God is on this, and I respect Shift God because he has been very consistent this offseason on Brad has not prepared for situations like this. Shift God, I'm with you. You take your victory lap. Klotz, I'm just saying, all these people who keep saying, hey, Klotz is right. Klotz, you also don't think
the coordinator change though.
No, but at least with that, you said, hey, they could work out. You tonight said they will not win a Super Bowl. There is not a chance they win a Super Bowl.
I said, if I had the betting money,
that is wrong.
I'm not betting on them.
They can still win the Super Bowl. They can still win it. Saying just because Frank left that they can't is
the coordinators.
That's a little nonsense in my opinion.
I get Jared Goff as a quarterback that needs to have a clean pocket up there, probably with like Baker and the other guys. That Stafford needs a clean pocket. If they don't have a clean pocket all the time, they're not winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's really the question is like collectively, like I know people are already down on the coordinators, but what does this Frank thing do to you? I think for me, if I was optimistic. Like I was optimistic. I think for the coordinators, I like Kelvin more than probably John Moe. I'm a little more skeptical about John Moe. I've actually done a 180 on Kelvin, and I've admitted that in the past. Like I really do think he's going to be really good. A little more skeptical on Johnny Moe. But when you combined everything with Frank leaving, like I'm not saying like I'm with Boone. I think if you're just saying they're off the list, like maybe I'm not that far.
It's a harder road.
You can't deny that it hurts their chances. Like I think you're not going to notice it as much, in my opinion, in the regular season. I think you'll notice it in the postseason.
Yeah, that's
when
fair.
You're up against these top NFC teams, and even they make a Super Bowl, great. The best AFC team. I think that's when you'll start to really say, okay, damn. Whether it's the coordinators or whether it's the Frank Ragnow not being there, I think that's when those problems you'll notice even more. The regular season, I think, man, they're gonna. I mean, you'll do what the Lions.
They're still going to win that NFC North. I don't think that changes.
They'll do all that.
But to that point, like Frank, it's going to hurt. But if they have a guy that steps up, like say Tate ends up being that guy, and he ends up getting the experience, and by the time the playoffs come around, again, obviously he's not going to get close to a Frank Ragnow level, but you're able to patch this thing together to go win one. And that's where it's like I do feel like with the offensive line, some of the guys you still have, okay, you can figure this thing out. The weapons you have, the defense, guys you have returned. Like to me, it's still one of the best rosters in football. You lost Frank, that's tough, but obviously at the end of the day, like again, if you don't think the path just got harder, you're an idiot. The path did just get harder, and that's like bottom line. This is tough. Does it make it impossible? Like Klotz is saying, no, it's not impossible. You still have a top 5 roster in all of football at the end of the day. And when you have a top 5 roster, like, hold on, let me check something actually. Let me see. Lions to win the conference. Did it change at all? Are they no longer second favorite? Oh, no. They're still the Eagles plus 350 and Lions plus 500 to win the conference. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Like, obviously, it changes, but they're still
going to be a good team. Contender. I view them as like they're on the same level as the Commanders now, in my opinion. Drops them to that level. I thought they're above the Commanders.
Oh, Boone
Commanders
like
going to be a good team. Commanders
look, again,
be a good team.
This is Klotz the whole year. When you say something,
10 to 12 win team in
sticks.
between there. Win a playoff game, maybe 2, but I don't see them winning the Super Bowl this year. I think they'll have a better chance in 2026. Still going to be winning the NFC North. But they'll still fall short of the Super Bowl again.
I'm just saying, again, accountability will be held.
It's fine. I don't want to hear if the Lions are having a good game during the regular season in the playoffs.
Oh, you're going to hear what I'm going to say what I want.
That is insane.
If they're the best team. If they're the best team in football, I will let you know this is the best team in football.
That's fine, but I'm still allowed to root for the Lions.
Oh, well, you can root for them, but just I know when it comes to if they win a Super Bowl, you will be like, hey, I will make sure I go back and clip this. I'm gonna put a date on this. Actually,
no, this is an end of the year convo. Like at the end of the year, if they win the Super Bowl, then you bring it up. Like you can't be chirping each other through every game.
No, this will be if they win the Super Bowl, there will be a clip that gets thrown out there.
Yeah,
June 2nd at 9:00. Klotz said this.
That's fair.
You had zero faith in this team.
Imagine the Lions do win the Super Bowl, and then you know what I gotta hear? Oh, you glazed Ben and Johnny Moe stepped in and they won a soup. You look at you. I would be like, oh gosh, here we go. And I gotta hear from all all the people against Ben, which is fine. I'll be happy regardless. I don't give a shit. You can roast me all you want. Let's see. Ben Blue says 2027 will probably be the year because that's when I see Brad getting pressure put on him to move the needle in our favor. I don't know if pressure is going to even come. Like, what would that be? 2 years from now? Yeah. I mean, shit. If Brad's got pressure on him, something went wrong. I think he's got one of the safest seats in the NFL
for a while. Yeah, unless things like really fall apart. But I even think if things do fall apart, it might end up going to like Dan before Brad.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And
then it would be Brad.
Now, Nick P, I think the Lions will be either 9-8 or 10-7.
No, man. Listen, these are one of those moments that you run into in life to where when adversity hits, you either, and Klotz, I'm not calling you this. This is just this is a statement I'm making. You either ball up like a coward and you don't face the facts.
Yeah, Klotz.
Or you be an absolute dog and you face it head on and you figure out the problem and you go out there and continue to be great. And if I'm betting on Dan Campbell to make sure this offensive line and this group is ready to go, I'm betting on Dan Campbell 10 out of 10 times. So all of you people, these are just one of those days. I've dealt with this. I've been in media 5 years now, 4 years. We have had days where there's breaking news and Lions fans are like, Booner, you're so wrong. And they're like, the sky is falling, like Full Slate Farms there. Booner, you're just not being realistic. I think I'm being the most realistic.
Well, it's subjective.
They're going to take a step back, but they're still contending to win the Super Bowl. That is realistic.
It sounded for a second there you were on the team, Boone, the way you were talking there. I mean, it was kind
but I'm telling you, listen, you either you face it or not. How many times? Let me ask you guys this, because we've been in media a long time. All three of us have. How many times have we seen in this Lions organization over the last 2 years something negative happen in the organization? A guy gets cut, a player gets hurt, something happens. Jeff, great example. The Booner path was started. They don't make a move at the trade deadline. Oh, everyone's telling me sky is falling, sky is falling. How was the Booner path made? No trade deadline move. They're not going to even win a playoff game. What do? Everyone thinks the season's over. They don't have a chance to do anything. Guess what? Every single comment I saw that day, Jeff and Lukas said that they won't win the division that year. They won the division and went to the NFC Championship game. There are moments when things like this happen, you lose a big-time player, something happens. And Lions fans, NFL fans, go to worst-case scenario. Season's over. They're not winning a Super Bowl. We're done. We'll see you in 2026. Pack it up for the year. And then what happens? They get in the season. They win a couple playoff games, and you go
almost like that glaring little thing that everybody talks about shows at like the worst time possible. Like when you think about the secondary when they made the NFC Championship game and like the pass rush, and then it didn't come through.
Okay, but I'm saying you're saying that, but you're saying that in the NFC Championship game, Klotz. But
we're talking about winning the Super Bowl, though.
But my point, they're better than they were though 2 years ago. My point is, when things like this happen, everyone goes worst case scenario, and sky is falling. They're going to win 9 games now. They're going to win 8 games. They might even have a chance to win the division.
Well, I don't think. But like,
half of these people are going to end up turning halfway through the year.
But like, think about this. Like, okay, for me specifically, I think they're going to win the division. I still think they can win a playoff game or two. but I don't think they win the Super Bowl. How is that worst case? That's still a top 4 or 5 team in the NFL. But
You're
I don't
saying
think
they're not a contender.
I said if I had to bet they're not winning the Super Bowl, that doesn't mean they're not going to be a top 4 to 5 team. If the Washington Commanders were there, I'd say I probably wouldn't bet on them to win the Super Bowl either.
Just
the
saying.
Baltimore Ravens. I'm not betting on them to win the Super Bowl.
You would take the Rams or Eagles out of the NFC. That's what.
Yes, those would be the two teams.
So again, to me, my statement still stands. When something bad happens like this, fans and Klotz, you're included in this now because you're the one saying this. People go to worst case scenario and say it's over. Season's over. No. You have brought it up.
Going to be the best seed coming out of the NFC, and if I had to pick right now, I'd take the Rams coming out of the NFC in the playoffs too.
But you did not say there was a 0% chance to the Lions. You said there's still 50% chance. You literally a week ago said 50-50.
I think I said.
We talked about it. You said when we were talking Johnny Mo, you reverted to 50-50. We sat there and went 50-50.
But then Frank retired. Now you pushed it.
Now he's at 0.
I don't think
he's at 0.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
The 0% is what really gets me. If you said 25, I'd be like, okay. 0 is like, that's the extreme.
So
that's the Lions fans being like,
Klotz, can we agree? You want to add about 5%, 10%?
No, he said it. It's locked in. Accountability is held.
5 or 10%. You might as well just say they're dead.
I know.
Like it's like, I think they have a 10%.
Either you do or you don't.
What the fuck are you saying? Like you're thinking there's a 90% chance that they don't. So then, you think that they don't. You're just too scared to say that they don't. And so I'm just sitting here being honest.
Accountable.
It's not the year. I'm not gonna be like, if this happens and this happens, they'll be all right. It's like, no, man, there's too much what ifs at this point. Like too many. This will have to be done for a long time at an elite level. Like you got to have a center playing at Frank Ragnow's level. You got to have 2 coordinators at Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn level. And no, the NFC just got better. The NFC North just got better. I just don't see it happening this year. Great team. Going to be a really good team. I don't think they're hanging up on Lombardi as we talk about. They're not hanging up. Not this year. Eventually, they will.
Yeah, I think for me, I would probably the only team I would say I'd give the edge to is the Eagles. I think the Rams, and we've already talked about this, but I think obviously Frank not being here, it probably brings it a little closer. But I'd still take the Lions over the Rams. Makes it tougher, especially because they have a defensive line that's pretty good. So not going to make it. I mean, they cause problems for the Eagles O-line. Healthy. So I wonder now with Graham, it's definitely going to hurt.
Now they got Sean Dolak behind that defensive line too.
But yeah, of course. I mean, Sean Dolak, very fine Buffalo linebacker. I would still take the Lions, but yeah, I mean, okay, fine. You take 2 teams over the Lions. We'll see. See what happens. The AFC is really the tricky one because it's like Chiefs probably come back, but yeah, it's really wide open. Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, but the NFC, I think there's only 3 teams in my opinion. Well, the Commanders, I want to be because Commanders fans shredded us for last year in our coverage. If there is one Commanders fan watching, I will put you because I love the Commanders fan base, and I was we hashed it out last year. I will insert you into that top 4 just because I'm doing you a favor, but that's it. I mean, I don't know. And I honestly, I think there, and even like ball away, the Bills are the clear favorite in the AFC. Like, okay,
I don't know. I'm a Bills guy. I don't even think that. So I think the AFC is so open.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Chiefs are going to be back in the Raven. I know the Ravens always. The AFC is fun. It's going to be fun.
Hey, Lukas, Southwest Hollerita.
Let them know, Southwest.
Everyone on Earth knows the Lions are Super Bowl contenders. You're a crackhead if you think different. Every sports channel knows it.
Thank you, Southwest Hollerita. Let's go.
Southwest.
It's fair.
Hollerita.
Again, I'm just going to, and people in the chat being like, Booner won't just admit he's wrong. Listen, what do I have to admit I'm wrong about? I have an opinion. This is one thing I hate. When I have an opinion and it's against someone like Klotz or something, people are like, Booner, like, our job is to fight against our opinion. Correct, boys?
That would be correct, Boone.
So I'm going to, if I believe something, I'm going to stand on it. It's not me being stubborn. I have this opinion. That's why, Klotz, I respect it. And that, hey, I will have the accountability page, though. That is the thing.
The note sheet?
Yeah. And if you guys want one of my takes on there, last year, Matthew Betts, that would have been on there. Roderick Martin would have been on there. Hendon Hooker for Jeff would have been on there.
Giovanni Manu.
Yeah.
Gio will be on there by
He'll
the
be
end of the
loading.
night.
He'll be loading on there.
By the end of the night.
Come on. What does this mean for Giovanni Manu?
Put him
Hey,
at center.
Yeah.
Throw him to the
Hey,
fire.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, and this is me admitting I was wrong. This is people. I admit I'm wrong. I did say a while back that Gio's done. Through OTAs and stuff, I'm taking that back. I'm switching. I think Gio.
For what? What happened at OTAs?
I just have a feeling that there's going to be an opportunity in the next. And actually, what switched me real quick? Easy's in the chat. I was watching the heavies one day, and Easy brought it up that I said Gio's done, and they had a little segment about it.
Easy.
And they had brought up examples of tackles like Gio getting taken from random schools and random places and taking 2 or 3 years. One of them, Jordan Matai or whatever his name is out of the Eagles, Mailata, and they brought him up, and I was like, that's actually like a very good example. And
I said that example.
Yeah, no, when they said it though, it really resonated with me, and I went, I think I have to switch
because of how they said it, the aura.
I don't know, dude. They said it, and I went, yeah, man.
I mean, Easy guy.
So I'm back on the Gio. I'm back on the Gio train. I'm back on your side.
I mean,
Jeff.
I'm happy. I'm just like, I
have fun. Have fun.
I've said that before, but you know what, Boone? It is a great point. Shout out to the heavies, man. They know. Hey, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing because Klotzy is trying to be devil's advocate and trying to compare Giovanni Manu to
the
Roger
majority
Martin.
of history. No, the majority of history. Like the 98% of history.
Show me 6'8", 350, no gut men from British Columbia.
Show me NFL players that came from British Columbia and played
that got coached
Canadian college football, not in the CFL, Canadian college football.
That got coached by Hank Fraley and gets to
no. I'll even do you better. You can give me a bigger pool, a bigger sample size. Give me those guys, and then bring me some notable names, and then say you're going to be the left tackle protecting Jared Goff. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that Jared Goff, the man that we're about to pay, $70 million to next year, you're going to keep him clean. Year one.
Mailata. Ben Blue says Mailata didn't play football before he got drafted and had an injury setback in year 2 before he finally became the starter in year 3. Manu actually played football and has no injuries.
What did he do in year 3?
He was a starter.
So in year 2, he suffered a setback. Probably was about to play. Giovanni Manu. Coming out of British Columbia. That's fine.
Yeah, and by the way,
we got to.
You know what? Easy. I'm glad he brought it up. By the way, Klotzy, he's not from British Columbia.
Where's he from?
He's from Tonga.
All right, give me the list from there. Give me the list from there.
No, that's like, hey, he got.
I bet, hey, physical specimens. I guarantee they produce it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to protect Jared Goff over here. That's what we got to worry about.
Yeah.
If you want to invest in Giovanni Manu, that's fine. Go get me a tackle in the first round. Free agency. That's what I prefer.
I would listen. I would rather have like a tackle in the first round, but I'm still not giving up on the fact that hey, Gio could be something. And I'm just, you know what really also got me? You know what really has like switched my side on it is him working out with Taylor Decker all summer. Like that, when I see that, I'm like, okay, there's something going on here.
Think Colby Sorzal ever worked out with Taylor
No,
Decker?
Colby's done. Colby's
Do you
past.
think ever in his career he did?
Colby's past that point.
Hey, boom.
They don't even talk about Colby anymore. This is just a temporary handshake, Jeff. You know, I've switched sides on this too.
You didn't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Well, I've switched sides. This is like my 3rd time switching.
Accountability. You're back on Gio.
Okay, we'll add
Write that down.
Yep, I'll do it right now. Booner is back in on Giovanni Manu.
He's like,
Booner is back in on Gio Manu. Date 6/2. All right, we're back in. There we go. I'm back.
Don't even worry. That's gonna be that's gonna age perfectly.
I hope so.
Hey, can I ask you fellas, any players or maybe storylines you're looking to see from OTAs? We still got this week. Now without Frank, I'm excited. Personally, I think I'm looking at this. You got to be looking at this O-line now, like a lot more. I mean, there's a ton of things you could look at, but for me, I'm looking at that interior now. maybe do they? My big thing is I'm curious if they start trying to get Miles Frazier.
That's what I was just about
snapping
to
the
bring up.
ball a little bit. That's where I'm curious because you already have Tate doing it. He's taking first team reps, but as kind of OTAs go on, maybe there's a chance that Miles Frazier gets a little he gets some action. But I want to see that interior offensive line, kind of how they manage it, get guys cross trained. I'm excited to see that this week.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think. Like, I was trying to think it today when I put it into prep. What I'm
Do you see
looking
Kory
for.
with the Tim Patrick thing? That was crazy.
Yeah, that's a big.
That's
the
a good
wide
goal.
receivers is a big one, honestly, because we do get to see. Like, J-Mo's been like, they're saying J-Mo's taking another step, which I'm excited to hear about and see.
Who called Manu manure? Hold on.
Oh
No.
Davin Dork.
no.
Davin Dork.
Sorry, Boone. No, we're not doing the manure thing with Manu. Anyway, sorry. That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Davin Dork's funny.
Klotzy, don't you say that shit. Don't you say that.
I got it locked and loaded. It's added to the clip now when we need it.
Manure?
When we need it.
That's crazy.
Good plan.
I don't know. I just keep going. The wide receiver stuff. That's what I'm interested in. D-line, obviously the D-line and O-line. I guess the only thing with the O-line is like the reps because there's no pads or anything. So you're just really sitting there. You don't have a good feel for it. But like receivers, that battle, the corners, Ennis Rakestraw. It sounds like Ennis. I don't know. I read it somewhere. People, or it might have been one of the players. I think it was DJ Reed actually came out and said Ennis was starting to look good. Like he's seen it. He was a little shocked about what Ennis is about. So I'm pumped out about that. That's probably all that you can. I'm trying to think.
Ennis Rakestraw is a good one.
The Ennis one is probably one of the bigger
I know
ones.
Klotz brought that up last week.
Yeah, he's going to be exciting to watch, but I just still think you have to go back to that offensive line. I do think that Miles Frazier, that's what I was going to bring up too, is like that key factor in seeing if he can give you any type of life, even as like insurance at the center spot. If you want to go with Tate and keep him at guard and you want to roll with Graham at center, at least you know you have somebody back there with Miles Frazier because he's somebody that, again, like you took him with the 6th round, 5th round pick. So if you can just start developing him, that's somebody in year 2, you can have that plan to replace the center if you want to move Tate back to guard. But Miles Frazier, I think, will be an interesting kind of wild card through OTAs to watch just because he's such a big athlete. Like, he's huge, but he's also a very good athlete that can play center if it needed to be. So seeing him going up against the 2s, that'd be exciting. Obviously, they're not going to be padded up or anything like that. Just seeing how he moves and he flows. Be entertaining to watch, boys. The hog mollies. Good time. Good time.
Hey, I'll say it because you guys are a bunch of freaking sissies. Hendon Hooker. I mean,
Shut up.
I want to see some pro hookers, some pro hooker news. You know, it's about time we start standing up for Hooker. All right, hey, Hooker, we're with you, man. Go out there, ball out. All right, these guys over here on this show that I do this show with every day keep telling me that you can't play. So go out there, put it on a absolute rope. I want to see some completions. I want to see some plays being made. All right. So
Yeah,
Hendon Hooker. Hey, Hendon. I got you, big bro. Go out there, ball out, man.
I had to let you get that off your chest.
No, we're pro Hooker on this show. Pro Hooker, man. Well, not maybe not.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You love Hooker.
No,
what's your favorite type.
Well, listen, can we, Jeff?
They're giving up on the guy.
Jeff, did you see the doc's report? Did you see it?
Go ahead.
I was off Friday. Well, I wasn't off, but I had a big explosion on Friday, so I had an issue. I couldn't make the show. Did the doc not report that Hendon Hooker looks the exact same as last offseason?
I mean, it's OTAs.
So what do we?
Quarterback, you can see a little difference. Like you can see him making throws. We got to go to training camp, and we went to training camp last year and watched some of the throws, and we all looked at each other and went, "That man's not ready."
No, I'm just maybe.
And guess what? They brought Teddy in. He wasn't ready. And if he wasn't ready last offseason, and the doc says he looks the same this offseason, I mean, dude, I again, I might not be the smartest guy in the world, but
he's a gamer.
I'm just putting,
in what game?
Together here.
When?
Preseason game.
Preseason
was
game.
able to play.
Oh, what is with the
Giovanni
Manus, the Hendon Hookers, the Broderick Martins, all of these projects that you just praise up and down and say, wait on it. Just wait on it. And you're just setting yourself up for failure. At some
Stop,
point,
man.
these guys aren't Jamison Williams, a first-round pick who's coming off a torn ACL and a suspension where it's like, he's going to be a dude. You do. Like, it's hard not to. This isn't Ali McNeil coming off an ACL or Aiden Hutchinson coming off a broken fibula and tibia. These are guys that haven't stepped foot week 1 in an NFL game, that have been sitting in civilian clothing, and they're on a Super Bowl roster. And those are the guys that are trying to crack the roster spot to start. At some point, help yourself. It's like just take a deep look in the mirror. And when you can just accept and hold yourself accountable that these things are wrong, you'll feel a great weight lifted off your shoulder. You don't have to do this anymore. You can just live the life you truly want to live. But you're just not letting yourself live it.
Hey,
Let go, Jeff. Let go. Just breathe. Say, I don't need Manu. I don't need a hooker.
Fuck you.
I don't need Big Body Broad.
This is the problem. All right. I look in the mirror. I see greatness. That's what I see. All right. So you're looking in the mirror and saying, no. I look in the mirror. I see greatness. I look at Hendon Hooker. I'm looking at him. I'm saying, oh, you know what, man? Go in there. Say your morning. What do they call it when you look in the mirror? You tell yourself
Mantras?
things. Yeah. Like go in there and be like,
Morning mantras.
I'm
never heard
great.
of that.
I don't even know if that's the word.
I just want to see how he does in preseason. That's all. OTAs, maybe Doc said he sees the same. It's probably not it's not great for my narrative. But if we can see him in preseason, I was told last preseason, people are looking at me during the preseason going, Jeff, you might be onto something with this Hendon Hooker stuff.
Anyone can look. A lot of guys look good in preseason. I bet you Kyle Allen's had a good preseason at some point and put up numbers.
He won that.
Hey, Darius Fountain couldn't do it. He couldn't do it in preseason.
But again,
he didn't even look good in preseason.
You're playing up against second and third string guys, most likely. Like if you're even close to trying to compete for a job, you should look good in the preseason. Like,
he did.
And how did it work out for the season? Was he ready to go?
Well, apparently you think he just regressed.
No, he didn't. I'm not saying he regressed, but you're being like, look how good he looked in the preseason. If he looked that good in the preseason, why did they bring Hendon Hooker in?
You mean why did
or
because of
Teddy?
experience?
Okay, but if he was ready if he was actually ready, and at that point they would have been like, experience aside, this guy's just good. Like we're rolling with him if Jared goes down. He just isn't at that. It wasn't at that level.
Jalen Hurts is at that level.
Is the Tigers game? The Tigers game is on, right?
Tigers are dominating right now. Yeah.
How's Parker Meadows look? 2
for 3 and a
he
walk.
Made a nice ass catch to start the game off too. Diamond catch in center.
Yeah, he looks good. He's back.
Hey, how's your top 10 man look, Klotzy?
Homer.
What?
Homer.
Who, what? Top 10
2-run
man?
Homer. Javi Baez.
Oh. I'm pretty sure Kory Carpenter has 3 home runs tonight.
Yeah, I know I've seen at least
3.
I've seen at least 2.
I don't know if it's real or not, but I'm pretty sure if someone's watching in the chat, I think Kory Carpenter has 3 bombs tonight. That's crazy. That's nuts. I haven't bet, by the way. I haven't bet in weeks. And today with Parker back, I was like, I'm just gonna do a bet. And I did Parker hit, Riley hit, Dingler hit, and Tigers money line and boosted it. As long as they hold on this 10-1 lead, it hits.
10-1 lead. Holy shit. I know it sucks to watch the games during our show, but I didn't know. I mean, Kory Carpenter with 3 home runs is wild.
I think it is. Oh yeah, everyone's saying yes. He has 3. Yeah, that's a big one. 19th round draft pick. That's crazy.
That's insane to think about. They have 19 rounds MLB. I mean, I know they have more, but it's just.
I mean, dude, I had friends at Saginaw that were on the baseball team that got drafted and just went to different like minor league teams. But it's like there's so many people who get drafted.
Do you see Max Clark tweeted something out? Do you see that about fans and autographs? And he was getting he wasn't getting a lot of shit for it, but it was like this video of this. I forgot what MLB player it was, but someone refusing to sign autographs. Like he came out of an event and he snuck out of the event in a push cart to avoid autographs, and it was a bunch of grown men. And then Max Clark tweeted something out yeah, people are really upset that this man avoided grown ass men asking him to sign their trade cards to sell on eBay. And I'm like, because people are like, give time to the fans.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you know how bad that's gotten now? Like all these
Well, there
people
are
with trading cards. Like if kids want stuff signed, like I get it. If you're a professional athlete, like help the kids. But sometimes, dude, parents are sending their kids to sign shit. Like
the people who do that, like I do think that's insane.
It's sad as hell, dude. That's sad.
The what are they called? Like vouchers?
Vultures?
Vultures. The signature vultures. It's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
They just have like a million pictures and like sign this one, sign this one, sign that. Like, dude, what are you doing?
That's why
That's
if
a
I was a
combine,
professional
bro.
athlete, I was signing autographs. Every time I would personalize everything. I'd say, what's your name? Personalize.
Yeah,
it.
but I think they personalize it and they still can sell. I could be wrong, but
Maybe you're right.
and there's certain color markers. Like
Yeah.
if they do blue, I think they're able to do certain things. Like I know there's athletes who don't sign with certain Sharpies and certain colors because that mean they're able to do different things with that. They only sign with specific ones, so no one can take advantage of it or something.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, I respect the trading card. The people, or they do like the
hustle's there.
memorabilia.
For sure.
Dude,
A lot of
I
money
would
in
like
it,
to
too.
get involved in it. I don't want to be like one of those vultures, but I would like to get involved in like getting cards. I think that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Ryan's into it. Ryan, shout out Lentz, man. He's into it too.
I don't know how to get involved.
He's got all these they open all these cards and everything. I
Yeah.
never.
You know
really
who was
got
really
involved.
big into it? Broder was like
Yeah.
huge. And I hit him up actually like a month ago or a couple weeks ago about like, dude, like how do I even get started? I need to hit him back so I can get started. We need to I need to figure that out because I want to like, hey, what packs do I get started? What do I need to buy? I would love to open some cards up. Maybe Jake Cruzen in the chat can help me out. Me and him been battling tonight. Maybe Jake Cruzen. Jake Cruzen, hit me up. Message me, Jake Cruzen. Even though you hate me, message me, man.
Yeah, I know. I remember Ryan Lentz at our old employer. He opened up a rookie Anthony Richardson card.
Oh yeah.
And that's when he was drafted. And obviously, I wasn't high on Anthony Richardson. He was very high on Anthony Richardson. So he's like, this thing is gonna fucking explode.
I think he gave me a Will Levis one, or he had a Will Levis one and said I could have. I just never got it. So I'm glad I didn't take it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have gotten like imagine, hey, Hendon Hooker one, huh? Keep that baby for 5 years and see what happens to it. It's like Geno Smith, anything.
Jesus.
Come on, stock goes up.
Imagine having like
Good
Jahmyr Gibbs ones. Ooh.
Yeah. I
Robert
mean, like,
Spillane. Ricky
is it true?
Pearsall.
Xavier D, my son has a Magic Gathering collection of worth over.
I know Magic cards are like worth a lot. My brother used to have Magic cards growing up. I wonder if he still has them, if they're worth anything. Pokemon cards. I wish as a kid
You know what it is.
I was aware, or we were aware, that those cards would be all worth so much.
Yeah.
Because as kids, it was like we just opened them up and we had hundreds of them or thousands of them and just playing for fun and just having a good time and just ruining them. And now looking back, you're like,
It's like
imagine if
Pokemon.
imagine if
It
we
was
didn't do
like
that. Because we had thousands of Pokemon's cards growing up.
Imagine because some of those Pokemon cards they sold for like millions. I mean,
Yeah.
like you get a rare one.
I have nightmares thinking, like, imagine if I was holding like $1 million like Charizard card as a kid, and then like,
Charizard.
you know what I mean? And now looking back, it's like, oh, I could have just put that in a sleeve. I probably
hey,
wiped my boogers on it as a 5-year-old kid.
Goes for like 100,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
with Booner's booger.
Xavier D. Jeff, one Magic the Gathering card called the Black Lotus is worth over $500,000.
That's
That's
crazy.
insane. That and like Legos, bro. Legos are becoming worth a lot, Boone. You've been on that one.
Legos have been worth a lot.
Lego?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on with Lego?
I have some, dude. Look, all the rest are at my house, but this one,
Worth what? Like built?
No, I'm pretty sure it's like the boxes. Like unopened, obviously.
I want to meet the people
Oh.
willing to spend like $500,000 in Xavier D's example on shit like that.
bored and wealthy.
It's just like, hey, I got $500,000. What is it? The Black Lotus? Yeah. Like,
yeah.
can I get
Logan Paul just throws money out of that stuff.
Like, I mean, hey, to each his own. So there, spend your money however the hell you want. Jesse, we'll get to mailbag, by the way. Drop your questions. Jesse, mailbag, Jeff, who do you got this weekend in UFC? Suga, Marab, second question. Booner, want to make a pizza bet that Frazier plays over 1.5 games at center this year? I don't want to be right on that. I'll say I think I'm taking Sugar this time, dude. He's locked in. He's dialed. Boys will be watching the fight. He's had a clean camp. Recovered from surgery. He stopped smoking weed. Stopped drinking. He's been training. He's been off social media. He told a story on the Full Send pod. Shout out to those guys. But he was talking about how when he first fought Merab, like actually even before that, he got a tattoo of an owl. He covered up another tattoo and got an owl. And that same day of the Merab fight, or it was like the week of, there was a dead owl in his driveway last fight. So he had an owl. Like it was just felt weird. Like he had this owl tattoo he just got, and then an owl was dead in his driveway, and then he lost.
That is.
So he's like, he goes, it just felt like I wasn't meant to win that fight. And he's like, I'm so dialed. He's like, it's like,
what?
I think the fight's going to be like almost 4 or 5 years on the exact date. He had one of his like best knockouts of all time. So everything's lining up, dude. And he's an underdog. I think I still was an underdog. I think, right? Last time I checked, he was plus 200.
Do you ever think though, like he's finally like, he's like getting his stuff together. He's like, I'm stopping all this. He was doing all that when he was great. So it's like, are you sure? Yeah, are you sure like him stopping that is like really what he needed?
No, it doesn't guarantee
as a fighter too, a guy that's a little like.
But I think now that he's seen Merab already.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know.
Kind of know, like it's hard. You got to go in there with Merab, and Merab's a freaking killer, dude. He has the cardio.
I hated that last fight. That was one of the worst fights I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. His cardio might be the best in the entire UFC. It's up there. I'm trying to think anyone that has better cardio than him.
Klotz.
Lukas Klotz. But he's up there for sure. So he's an animal. Merab, and he's in his prime.
Tigers
yeah, Jesse says massive dog. It should be more 190, 200, more than plus 250.
Yeah, I might actually just take. I did say I'll never bet on him again.
But like as an 100 at plus 200 former champ. And Merab, he rocked Merab in the last round. I mean, it was already over at that point. He didn't really do much, but
yeah,
he has to knock Merab out. I mean, he does. He's not going to.
We'll be watching it. I'm pumped up to watch it. To be honest, it's a good card this week and the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm excited for the fight though. I'm fired up about it. I'll definitely have a bet in, Jesse. We can have a little pizza bet. Sean versus Merab. I don't mind.
I will not make a pizza bet about Miles Frazier.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I don't even know how that came up. I didn't even say anything about Miles Frazier.
Let's see, Mr. Detroit City Mailbag. Have you heard of the Hat and Beard Show? If you can, if so, can you have him on, please? Funny guy on local Lions channel trying to hit 1K subs on our way. 650. I'm not sure if we have. I haven't heard of him. That doesn't mean he's not great at what he does. So
look it up. See.
Yeah, I mean, we were there at one point as well. Tell that man to keep grinding. I'll check him out. See what it's about.
The Hat and Beard Show. Some reason. Why am I thinking that's someone? Never mind.
It sounds like.
What's his name's brother? Never mind. I'm thinking of a different show. That's not me. I'm thinking of a different sports show in Detroit. Sorry.
By the way, Jesse, Islam does have better cardio. That's the perfect one. Bottle Live Mailbag, Taporia or Oliveira. Give me Taporia there. Taporia's about to go on a freaking half a decade run, so that's fine with me. He's a dog. He'll be a multi-division champ too, probably.
Taporia?
Yeah, he's a freaking beast. That dude. I want to see Klotz just Luke, the almighty Lukas Klotz. Klotz, if there's divisions, like you're doing jiu-jitsu, how much you weigh right now?
How much do I weigh?
Yeah.
Like 170.
Could you get to like no, you probably
I'd go down. No way I'm going up. No.
You'd go down. Could you get to 155?
Yeah. Probably pretty easy. I just wouldn't have to do shit for a week or two.
How tall are you?
6'2".
Dude, you'd be I don't think I think you probably have to stay your weight actually. I mean shit,
that's what I'm saying, dude, because if I go down, it's gonna be bulkier guys, but if I go up, it's gonna be dudes like my size, but just like yo.
You just fall.
I gotta have the length, the reach.
Yeah, you have to fight some welterweight guys. It's all right, Klotz. You get the jiu-jitsu right.
Then we'll work on our feet.
And then work on the feet.
Work with the hands,
the judo. Yep. We all right. Klotzy, we'll get Klotzy Maybe we'll send Klotz. You do some celebrity boxing. Maybe we'll get Klotz in the ring with like.
Yeah, people we hate. It's like you're our guy.
Yeah, Klotz.
We got beef with them.
Rob Parker. Klotz versus Rob Parker.
By default.
Klotz versus Pete Prisco.
Trying to think who else. Another good one. Think.
What?
I have good ones.
Yeah, no, I have a couple.
Oh, we got. Yeah, we can.
I have a couple.
Let's see here. All right, we got some.
Derek Barnes.
Let's see, Diggity Dog Mailbag. Anyone check out the Grand Prix this weekend in Detroit?
I did watch the race. I did watch the race. It was a good race. Yeah. The crazy thing, it's like the Grand Prix, especially in Detroit, like the track is so wild. So it's like just anything can happen, and basically anything happened. The favorite got knocked out. Like there was crashes everywhere. I wanted to go down there, I just didn't have the time to. So we actually might be potentially. I just said it before. We might be going to the NASCAR race Sunday. We'll see how that works out. Should be fun. Grand Prix in Detroit looks so sick. We'll be there next year. We'll have to plan it out, but.
Xavier D says, Mailbag, look up how much Post Malone spent on Magic the Gathering cards. I don't even want to know.
It's probably just like art, dude. Like,
by the way,
people just view it as art.
We were talking to Easy on Saturday about Post Malone, and Chris and Spenny comparing Post Malone to Pitbull is one of the craziest things of all time. Like Post Malone potentially could
great though.
But Post Malone could go down as one of the greatest ever by the end of his career. Like he has done everything, and in our generation, he is one of the greatest. Pitbull is just like club like.
Don't diss Pitbull.
I like Pitbull. He has good music, but it is so different, man. Like Post Malone is on a different level. Post Malone is huge.
Post Malone, it's not my kind of music. Not saying he's bad. I'm not going to compare him to Pitbull, but I'm not going to die on the Post Malone hill. I don't have enough knowledge. Well, I have enough knowledge.
Hey, it's just one of those. If you don't like him, just got to give him respect. Like respect where it's due.
I will. Put some respect on Mr. Worldwide name as well, though.
Dude, he's got some hits, but Post Malone is just a different level.
Yeah, I would. I love. Hey, Pitbull.
Jeff's like a Russ guy.
No, Jeff. Unless Jeff just had too many drinks, but Jeff was agreeing with me on Saturday.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Put some respect on that man's name.
Yeah, Post Malone he's one of my favorite artists. I'm with you. I like Pitbull. Pitbull's got a lot of hits, man.
Yeah, he does. I'll listen to Pitbull tonight on my way home.
Mr. 305. I mean,
I'll throw him. Yeah, Mr. Worldwide. I'll throw him on. Don't worry.
Mr. Worldwide. Mr. Worldwide. Shout out. Let's see. Xavier D, have you guys ever considered doing a golf outing with your chat family, like for charity?
Next year.
Yeah.
There's one in the works already.
Yeah, we've been trying to plan out a golf outing, charity golf outing with fans and everything, special guest, like a bunch of crap for months. But we're trying to make it great. We want it to be great. We don't want to rush it. So in the future, yes. I don't have a timetable though, but in the future, yes, absolutely.
We tried to get one this year, and when we started doing it, obviously all of the courses pretty booked up.
Yeah, it goes.
So I think next year we're 100. There's like I would say a 95% chance next season there will be a golf outing.
Best caddy out there.
Here we go, Klotz. Hey yo, I'm 150 out. What am I hitting?
Yeah, you tell me. I'll just get it for you.
All right, grab me
my
8 or my 7.
Figure that out. I'm gonna get there.
Klotz, I think you'd be good at golf if you really tried. Like it'd take you a couple years. But
can I be honest?
I think you got to build for it.
I think he has to build for it. One thing I know with Klotzy, and I think it's because of his receiver and corner thing. I'm not saying you're stiff, but I know your jump shot, and it's like a wrestling jump shot that goes in. I've seen wrestlers golf and guys like that they're a little stiff when it comes to like those types of movements. I just don't know if you'd have to loosen up a little bit when it comes to the swing. I think we can get you there.
I'd be terrible at golf.
That's why you're doing jiu-jitsu though. You're getting loose.
I don't have the patience for golf.
No, Klotz for sure. No, but Klotz's patience on a different level. Klotzy's like, I gotta go for a walk. I gotta go around the
move,
block.
dude. Like that's what's like. If I go golfing, I gotta be like not fucked up, but I gotta have a couple beers in me to be able to be like,
oh, that's all it is. Yeah, you have a good time. You know,
possibly done.
Ask Boone. I've lost my cool. I get pissed. You know what I mean?
Jeff will like be actually having like a decent round and hit one bad shot. And be like, day's over. Don't tell anyone about this score.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude.
It's just because I'm like a perfectionist. I get pissed off. Boone's like, dude, we're having a good time. That's like, thanks, Boone. That's what I need right now. I need that positive energy, dude.
I genuinely, and maybe this is just me hyping myself up. I feel like I've helped Jeff's game a lot, just being like caddy and talking to him the last few rounds.
1,000%.
Being his what would it be? Jeff's your protege.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I've been golfing with Boone since I started. So like, yeah, he's helped me tremendously.
I know his distances kind of now. Like, all right, let's talk about this club. What club are you grabbing? Help read the green. We lock in, man.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a charity golf outing, man. We'll have it. And honestly, don't even worry about it. It'll be fun. It'll be more relatable because everyone playing won't be that good. So, but then there'll be maybe some former athletes that are pretty good. But the crunch time fellas, besides Gentry and probably Boone, I think Caleb. It depends what day Caleb's having. He could have one of those days too.
Caleb's pretty up and down.
He's off.
Yeah, he's up.
Caleb could be better than me one day, and he could be 10 times worse than me one day.
Yeah,
it's an up and down.
The boys will get after it. But appreciate you all, man. We'll be back tomorrow. This Frank stuff.
It's tough. Hey,
great show.
Congrats to Frank Ragnow.
Yeah, congrats to Frank. Congrats, big fella.
Well deserved.
Until tomorrow. Much love you all.
Love you guys.